Well, it's been a bit of a rough winter, but for the first time in quite a while, we have had 5 straight days of racing here at Aqueduct, and we finished the week on a Sunday. We've still got 4 races left to go here at Aqueduct and a bunch of races left to go at Oaklawn Park as well. It's a little bit cloudy here at Aqueduct, but the weather's warmer, and it's a nice day of racing here in South Oaklawn Park. Jonathan Kinchin joining me, Andy Serling, here on the desk at Aqueduct. Megan Burgess and Richard Migliore will be joining us in a little bit down at Oaklawn Park. And, of course, Maggie Wolfendale is in her usual spot down in the paddock.
It's a nice day.
It is. It's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you as well. I got to see you yesterday.
Briefly.
But we didn't get to hang out. We get to hang out today.
We were ships passing in the night yesterday afternoon, but we're here for a few hours. Maggie will be joining you later. Looking forward to talk about the cards today. As we said, 4 races left to go here. Race number 4 coming up at Oaklawn. I think they actually only have a 9-race card at Oaklawn today, but we have a special edition. We'll be showing the Sunland Park Oaks and the Sunland Park Derby a little bit later. Points for the Derby, so the 50-point winner of the Risen Star won't be the only 50-point winner after today's card is over. Allowance feature coming up. Oaklawn is muddy. We are fast, but it's Oaklawn Park. It's coming up soon. We're just about 3 minutes away from their 4th race. And, of course, today's races are brought to you by Claiborne Farm, but also Naira Bets. Use the promo code BONUS200 and we will match the $200 of your initial deposit. Go to NairaBets.com, play any track, anywhere, anytime. Play through Naira Bets. As promised, we'll go out to Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas for the rest of the team. Megan Burgess and the Mig, Richard Migliore.
Thanks, Andy. And we've got a 9-race card, Megan. Some very difficult races to handicap, but we're going to be on set here in the infield the entirety of the day. A little bit colder, but certainly a lot drier than yesterday.
Yesterday was, we were drenched at the end of the day. I should say lightly with those showers and thunderstorms rolling in. The track is muddy, but I will say this, yesterday we were really watching to see if there were any track biases, anything with the first kind of big round of rain that we've seen here in Hot Springs this meet, and everything's been fair so far.
Yeah, it seems like, everything's been pretty fair. The track was sealed tight. I don't think they let a lot of that moisture get into it. But let's jump right into the action here. Race 4 going a mile and a 16th for fillies and mares with a claiming tag of $10,000. Couple of scratches, starting with the 1, Balls in Your Court was scratched. The 2, Flirtin' Again, starts it off.
Yeah, and it hasn't shown any of the early speed, but I will say I've always preferred this horse sprinting, now still at 8.5 furlongs in this race.
3 and the 4 were both scratched, and now we're on to number 5.
Has not lifted a hoof as of late.
6 horse, Peyton's Beauty, has some speed.
Absolutely. That's the big part I like about this horse, but she is 0 for 7 here at Oaklawn Park. Let's see if that speed will be what she needs to utilize in here today.
Some speed drawn right outside of her with the 7, Mo Enchanted.
I'm interested in this horse at 3 to 1. I thought perhaps could go favored as she rated and was close last time out.
Here's a deep, deep closer in the 8, CC Harbor.
Yeah, up against it as far as the race flow, and I don't prefer closers, especially in this group.
Summertime, he has races in the past, would be okay. Last couple, kind of going in the wrong direction.
Going in the wrong direction is the highlight of this horse.
There is the 10, Rodeo Star, taking money.
Another closer, not a lot of early speed.
And the 11 will round out the field, Queen of Salsa.
Yeah, gets the outside draw, has some early speed. Let's see if this horse doesn't get gassed after the last few. It just seems like the same story. Run up into things early, fade late.
Where did you land here, Megan? Because I really had a hard time handicapping this race.
I thought it was difficult. When it comes down to it, sometimes I just go with the ultimate commodity in dirt racing, and that's speed, which took me over to, of course, the number 6 and the number 7, who are taking the most tote attention right now. Didn't mean to chalk out in here. I went ahead and went with the number 7, Mo Enchanted. Last time out, kind of got back to some of that form that we're more accustomed to of this 5-year-old mare, and came off the layoff last time in really good form, and now second off. I should see improvement, hopefully, meandering at that level. And if she runs back to her last race, I think it's well good enough to beat this kind of field.
Well, and you would think that potentially she could even move forward, because that was the first start off a layoff, and going a mile and a 16th, not an easy thing to do.
No, especially when she was just dismal efforts, kind of disputing the pace early at Louisiana Downs, and just not really making any kind of indentation. So a mare that was crying out for a break, she got it. Let's see if she can continue that momentum.
The other thing, too, about Mo Enchanted, Amanda Poston is a 7-pound apprentice, so she's getting a break in the weights, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, this is, I believe, the most breaks she's had in the weight in a couple of years. And Amanda Poston has been riding well from the opportunities. Gary Stevens, her agent, just 9 mounts, but she's had 2 winners and 1 in the money. So she's really been making the most of her opportunities here at her first Oaklawn Park meet.
Well, let's see how it shakes out. I think we got 2 speeds drawn side by side in the 6 Peyton's Beauty, the 7 Mo Enchanted, but I also think they're both legitimate contenders. Let's send it up to Matt Dinneman for the first time for us today here at Oaklawn Park.
Outside post, Queen of Salsa rounds out the field. We're ready to go. And we're off. Slow break from the gray CC Harbor. Mo Enchanted on the lead at once. Rodeo Star in the second spot. Courtney Faye third with Peyton's Beauty. Queen of Salsa off the pace. Is asked to relax on the outside. Park deep as they go into the first turn run here. Flirting again down on the inside in a tight spot. Has to steady just a bit. Drops back to the third last spot. Summertime second to last early. And CC Harbor is the trailer. Around the clubhouse turn they go. Mo Enchanted, Rodeo Star. Rodeo Star keen today. Takes a head lead. Mo Enchanted right there to the inside. They've opened up 3 lengths on a line of 3. Peyton's Beauty, Queen of Salsa, Courtney Faye inside. Gap of 2 to Flirtin' again. Another 5 or 6 to Summertime. And that leaves CC Harbor well out of it as they head down the barn side here. Pacemaker is Rodeo Star. Clear by a length now. Maybe a length and a tail. It is a length and a half. Mo Enchanted is second approaching the turn. Queen of Salsa third gaining some ground as they go into the fourth turn run. Gap of 2. Peyton's Beauty has come under a hard ride here. Courtney Faye in the 5th spot, followed by Flirtin' again, Summertime, and CC Harbor is at the back. Around the far turn they go. Rodeo Star still on top. Mo Enchanted under a hard ride. Queen of Salsa is asked to go 3 wide. She's gaining ground approaching the quarter pole. Queen of Salsa and Mo Enchanted comes through on the inside, grabs the lead from Rodeo Star at the top of the lane. Mo Enchanted off the turn in front. Queen of Salsa on the grandstand side, plugging away here in second with Rodeo Star. On the far outside, CC Harbor from well out of it is coming with a lunge. CC Harbor at 6-1 has gone from last to first under Luis Fuenmayor and draws away for the win. It's CC Harbor by 4, make it 5. CC Harbor your victor. Mo Enchanted was second, Queen of Salsa third, Rodeo Star fourth.
It was CC Harbor storming down the center of the racetrack with the last run. Fresh legs the last 1/8 of a mile.
Wow, this horse has not done anything even in the vicinity of that around similar foes in the last, honestly, year or 2. So kudos to Al Cates for having this horse ready second off of the bench. It clearly needed that race last time out where he broke back, just never hesitated at the start and just never really ran on. But it was a completely different story today as he got the better of a late tiring Mo Enchanted.
It's a 7-year-old mare by commissioner, an Arkansas bred. I thought Mo Enchanted ran extremely well. Amanda Poston gave this horse a good ride. She used her enough to hold her inside position, but gave her a breather down the backstretch, made the winning move, but was no match for number 8, CC Harbor. And this overhead shot, this drone shot, you could really see the way horses kind of power away.
Yeah, and kudos to, as you mentioned, Amanda Poston, because a lot of times with these cheap claimers, she made that move where, you know, a lot of these horses don't like to pass late. So she made the right move, just wasn't the winning one in the end, unfortunately.
No, much the best here with CC Harbor. Let's head back to New York. The horses are getting ready to have the riders up in the paddock for race 5 at Aqueduct.
Thanks a lot, Richie. As you say, the post parade's coming up shortly in this race, and I have not been pretty much clued in so far in the first 4 races, and I'm going to keep it easy and go to the drop-down 21 red in here. You trying to beat this horse, Jonathan?
I wouldn't say I'm trying to beat him. I just don't want to bet him.
He's a tough horse to take at 4 to 5. He was wide to nowhere on a good rail day last time out. His prior 2 races are so much faster than these, but even with a wide trip, I think his last race has to be a little bit concerning at odds on.
Yeah, but I think if you like him, you could draw a line through that for the reasons you laid out. He didn't break well either. And right, you're right. I mean, he definitely has a figure edge, but it's not a daunting figure edge over a horse like the 4 Big Brooklyn. And I think Big Brooklyn, if aggressively ridden, will have a little bit of a pace advantage. He should be in front of him here.
I think the track's a little bit more fair than it's been today, but it's still been beneficial to be inside, and we've been in this situation where that's been the case for 2 weeks. The one is You're Looking Good, Jamie Rodriguez.
Yeah, down on the inside. One that doesn't have a lot of early speed from that inside draw.
Now for that hot Amelia Green barn, the 2 is Solomini's World, Jamie Begg.
Yeah, didn't take much money on debut for 40. Didn't do much running either.
I thought Major Bourbon, the number 3, had a little bit of a chance here. Mark Hennig and Ricardo Santana.
Yeah, he seemed to improve a little bit, getting to the dirt and adding Lasix last time.
The number 4, Big Brooklyn, the second choice, goes out for Carlos Martin.
This is I'm just hoping this one will get loose, get brave, and 21 Red runs a little bit more like the last race than the previous.
Son of a Sailor, second-time starter for Jenna Antonucci.
Yeah, no early speed at all.
Favored 21 Red, Manny Franco riding for George Weaver.
Certainly the horse to beat, but I just don't quite trust the horse at that short of a price.
And Manny, you're doing so well. When Flavian Pratt's not around, they're now overbetting your horses as well. The ultimate compliment to a jockey. Long shot, Zip for Rick goes out for Ricardo Legal.
Yeah, 3 races, never really taken any money, never done any running.
Yeah. Going back to the number 4, Big Brooklyn, who you mentioned, he finished second last time out to a horse that came storming down the racetrack to run them down at a short price in here, and he finished ahead of You're Looking Good, well ahead of You're Looking Good.
Yeah, Big Brooklyn, I think his last 2 races, they were good enough if 21 Red doesn't show up and run their best race. I do think that the races that Big Brooklyn has run have been good enough, and I think that the pace advantage I think Big Brooklyn has should help quite a bit as well.
You're confident he'll be in front of the 621 Red? Because I'm not. I feel like Manny's going to come out firing.
I'm not confident that he has to be in front.
He could be.
Yeah, exactly. I think he could be. He's drawn inside. Look, but the one thing that does hold me back a little bit is his last 5 races have all been for a tag, while 21 Red has been running for maiden special weight. So while their races might look similar, or at least a little bit similar, 21 Red certainly has been dealing with much tougher types.
I agree. You know, he was just in that shot. As you said, he just didn't break that sharply, and he just was way out in the middle of the track as we get more from the 5th member of our team, Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, guys, I actually think that he was also cut off by the horse who was just on his outside, talking about number 6, 21 Red, in that sprint race last time. Now, I see why they try to experiment with cutting him back, because he is actually a bit of a smaller horse, shorter coupled overall. But the fact of the matter is his 2 best races came doing just this, and they were against tougher foes. So I do think he makes a good deal of sense. If anything, I didn't love him in the paddock, but he's one that, has warmed up favorably and warmed up in my eyes too once seeing him out on the racetrack. So I'll stick with the heavy favorite because, well, I see why there's a case for Big Brooklyn. I have no problems with him. He just has yet to run faster, and he seems as though he's kind of plateaued in those 40 buyer speed figure range. So moving on to a horse who is stretching out with less chances, that's number 3, Major Bourbon here from Mark Hennig. Now, I can see why he might be a little intriguing to stretch out. Looking at his last race, he was wired by the toy cannon on a day where you wanted to be the inside speed. But while he wasn't the speed, he was glued to the rail. And Relu got him directly over to the fence from that outside post position. And looking at him, while he's done well from his first start, where I thought he was just a bit underdeveloped looking, he's gotten stronger, he's become more athletic. While he's got some leg to him, he's very short coupled, and furthermore, he was just very anxious in the paddock, spilled over to the racetrack too, and a lot of times that type of disposition doesn't lend itself well to getting more ground. But then again, you could see him more forwardly placed with the stretch out. As a horse that I'm a little intrigued by is number 1, You're Looking Good, and look, at the end of the day, he might just be a really mediocre turf horse, and being on the dirt here isn't what he necessarily wants to do, but at least he gets a fast track again, whereas last time it was his first time running on this type of surface at this distance, and he just seemed a bit green. He broke well, and then others were just faster than him, so he got some kickback. He was kind of running with his head up in the air, climbing a bit, and then he kind of stayed on and leveled off a little bit. So he looks incredibly fit here for Amelia Green, who's having a sensational 2026. so far, and I just thought that there was a little bit of upside with him in his second start off the bench, Andy.
Well, one thing for sure, Maggie, you are absolutely correct about Amelia Green. Her horse has been running extremely well. She actually ran a firster in the last race yesterday and ran second, and I bet the winner and felt very fortunate because I think that horse was best.
The horse made a big move on the turn, the one you're talking about, the first timer for Amelia, and just got a little tired late. I mean, that horse is going to be tough next time out.
Yeah, no, she's clearly, listen, she had a good year starting out, but her horse has been running very, very well. And don't you think Jamie Rodriguez from the rail has to go as well?
Yeah, he certainly does. But the problem is the closest he's been to the front, the pace figures weren't even that fast. I'm just not convinced he's fast enough.
Yeah, I don't know if any of them are that fast in here. I'm not trying to beat the favorite in this race on the drop down. But listen, I can understand people looking to go against as the number 6, 21 Red, a big favorite. You're going to try to get Big Brooklyn home here as the second choice, currently at 7-2 as they're loading into the gate for race number 5. 7-horse field and starting out the late pick 4. Good luck if you're alive in the pick 5 or the pick 6. Chris Griffin will have the call of race number 5.
Big Brooklyn goes in. Son of a Sailor. Son of a Sailor. 21 Red. Zip for Rick. Last to load. Zip for Rick is in. All set. And they're off. Speed towards the inside here. Solomini's World. And Solomini's World is engaged with Major Bourbon now joining this leader in the red cap. Just off of them, Son of a Sailor and 21 Red broke sharply, but then bobbled shortly after the start. Just moving up on the outside, a challenging third. Now back to fourth is Son of a Sailor. At the rail comes You're Looking Good. Green cap is Big Brooklyn, and far back, Zip for Rick, the lone trailer. 23.73, the opening quarter mile. Solomini's World with a head advantage. Major Bourbon right there, 2 wide. 3 wide, 21 Red. Manny Franco on the move, center of the racetrack, is ready to challenge. Manny Franco says not yet. It's Solomini's World, who's up by a half length. Major Bourbon still second, 21 Red a tugging third. At the rail, You're Looking Good. Ground-saving journey to the inside. Off the top trio, 47 and 4 for a half-mile time. Son of a Sailor is trying to make up ground, but losing it. And Big Brooklyn is towards the back end of the field, and still far back at Zip for Rick. It is still Solomini's World, and in between horses, Major Bourbon. 21 Red is ranging up 3 wide, an all-in. You're Looking Good behind this lineup of 3 as they're approaching a quarter mile left to go. 21 Red is ready to challenge. Major Bourbon fights on, though, in between horses. You're Looking Good is taken third. 21 Red now wandering around here, and 21 Red is trying to focus it up, but You're Looking Good was off the pace and now thrust to the front, and You're Looking Good is just rushed on by. It's You're Looking Good who's up by 2, 3 widening lengths now and putting this one away. You're Looking Good. Jamie Rodriguez, they get the victory. You're Looking Good over 21 Red. Then a photo. That's going to be Big Brooklyn. There with Major Bourbon and the oncoming Zip for Rick from way out of it in 1 minute 41.45 seconds.
With both the 2 Solomini's World and the 3 Major Bourbon showing somewhat surprising speed in here, 21 Red gets hung out 3 wide, which has not been the trip you want in this racetrack for 2 weeks. And Jamie Rodriguez just sat the fence right behind them, angled out in the stretch, and proved much the best with You're Looking Good.
Yeah, I mean, look, the 1 didn't show any early speed. The 4 didn't show any early speed at all. But the 1 ended up just kind of sitting in that nice, comfortable spot in behind a wall of horses. Like you mentioned, the favorite was 3 wide all the way around there. I didn't trust the 6, but I didn't see the 1.
You know, I don't know how much it mattered given how easily this horse won. He probably would have won anyway. But I think it is a significant difference of trips, especially given this racetrack. But You're Looking Good, another winner from Amelia Green, who has not had that many starters, but this is her 5th or 6th win already. She has a second earlier in the car as well with a firster that actually was claimed out of the first race. A firster whose second dam was Victory Ride. Probably not a lot of horses running on the card today that have a first or second dam that has a stakes race named for them at Saratoga. But that was the case in the first race. But second in the first, second in the last yesterday, but a winner here with You're Looking Good. Some good points about that horse from Maggie as well. as we're getting ready to head out to Sunland Park, where we'll be covering the Oaks and the Sunland Park Derby a little bit as Derby points are up for grabs. We'll be back on America's Day at the Races. Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Claiborne Farms. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well and heading the winner's circle. For trainer Amelia Green, under Jamie Rodriguez, is the number one. You're looking good, and he sure was looking good today.
Yeah, he's looking good right here in this spot, sitting in behind this wall of horses with the favorite in the green and yellow silks to the outside. And you're looking good. The one just sat right in behind those, and right about here, in 2 jumps, he was already 2 lengths ahead. It didn't probably matter where he was. He's probably going to win today, but the trip certainly helped quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. Big contrast in trips also between him and the favorite here, where he sat that comfortable trip behind the pace on the inside, the favorite dueling 3 wide. But I can't argue with you, Jonathan. I think as it turned out, it didn't really matter. He won so easily.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it mattered where he was. The way that he ran, you combine that with the trip, you get these 7-length wins.
A very impressive win in a card where we have not seen a lot of short prices getting it done in today's card. You're looking good. 12.38 in the front end with the favorite running second. 3 to 5 shot paid $3.10 in the middle. Race number 6 coming up at Aqueduct. They're going 6 furlongs. I'm interested in the 2 complex music. I didn't expect to get 8 to 1, but I'm not sure I expected 2 to 1 either.
I liked the 3.
Well, a good sign for him. I left him out of my top 4, and so far that has been a very effective place to be to find the winner's circle in today's card. And speaking of races today, we had the Risen Star yesterday, 50 points to the winner in that race. There's also 50 points to the winner of the Sunland Park Derby. Now, I don't know if it's going to produce any Derby winners. the winner, the Horse on the Rail Express Kid, was a very surprising 34-to-1 shot winner of the Springboard Mile in his last start, and subsequently sold in a digital sale for $800,000. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's the most money anyone's ever paid for a son of Bodie Express.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Derby Trail's a real thing. It gets people going, and I guess with a horse like this who had a nice race as a 2-year-old and ran fast, there's something about that got this group excited to get involved. And like you said, they got an opportunity to get some of it back here today.
It's a funny thing, right? Because if you draw, you cover up his last line, he looks like a 20-to-1 shot in this race, and I understand for the last race why he's favored. Now, you and I were talking off camera, the horse outside of him, Sharon's Beach, is scratched, so we don't have to get 10-to-1 on that horse, a horse that would have been a shorter price. I hope John Velasquez doesn't mind. I hope he didn't fly all the way out there for a horse who's scratched. We getting more in this race from Richie and Megan? That we are, as Bricklin comes in from Oaklawn Park. Christian Torres made the trip.
Yeah, and he was a very nice effort from Bricklin last time. He did kind of get to control things up top, and I do see more pace sign on here. But you were here, Megan. I was not. That was a pretty impressive effort.
It was. He actually, the last allowance race that he did win here at Oaklawn, it was an 86 at that mile distance on the same card as your Smarty Jones winner, where the of course, Strategic Risk ran an 87 at 8.5, so it was pretty on par just from a buyer speed figure perspective, even though clearly the difference in distance. But he really showed, obviously, more speed. He broke from the inside. It was pretty contentious up front, but they let him go, set him modest to tepid early fractions, and did so first off the layoff from that stakes try with a big step forward for Rudy Brisset. And I've been just talking to connections and the assistant trainer for Rudy Brisset saying, we want to take a step forward with this horse. They scratched him out of the Southwest and want to able to get him those Kentucky Derby points. I think this is a perfect spot for this horse. I'd agree with them as far as the Southwest potentially coming up. Too tough. There was a good amount of speed in there, and I do think that he's going to be able to sit a tactical trip. I don't believe he's a horse that needs to have the lead.
No, I don't either. I mean, he proved that as a 2-year-old. He did win from off the pace going 5.5, so it's nice to have that versatility. And, that was a big step forward last time. And when we talk about 2-year-olds, it's talking about, to me, middle school or, early high school athletes, and they're going to change. They're going to develop. He's still green. He changed leads 4 different times through the stretch in his last race and continued to draw away. And sometimes that means there's another forward move.
This is also a horse that's been working with the likes of Stakes Place Queen Azteca, had done so back in December and January, and he's just progressing along. He's a type that I do believe is getting better and better, and that's exactly what you want to see. He was a well-meant Nyquist 2-year-old in training purchase, and I think he's trending in the right direction. We will see if this is going to take him a step further on a pretty contentious Derby trail, as we have gotten to see the Risen Star now, the Rebels coming up, and things are certainly heating up.
Definitely heating up, guys, and not heating up here. We're chilly, but at least you guys are indoors. Poor Maggie.
Maggie's tougher than you are, Richie. She's just fine. Well, you got the Derby preps coming up, Sunland Park Derby, the John Battaglia at Turfway Park on synthetic, the Gotham coming up here in a couple of weeks as well, the Fountain of Youth, the Rebel. So the bigger preps are coming, and I always like to joke that Sunland Park Derby is actually at 20 points. Whoever wins the Risen Star is always going to be the points leader because it's the first 50-point race. But in this particular case, I think we saw in the Risen Star, obviously one of the horses who's considered at this point one of the favorites for the Derby.
Absolutely, and I think that the way that Paladin and Renegade have run out of that Rimson puts them both in the conversation. In Paladin, the way he ran yesterday, it seems like he's going to appreciate more ground.
I agree, and I think and we'll talk about it some more, but I think both he and Renegade ran very well in their first preps. We'll be back on America's Day at the Races in a moment.
$1,600,000, thank you.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, boost your bankroll with weekly promotions, and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
And here's Tama in the final stages. The Santa Anita Derby goes to Tama. It's Tama, absolutely terrific, winning Malibu by 4 widening lengths.
Witness history.
Sandman is getting a little bit closer with Hypnus.
Greatness.
Here comes Cole Battle and Juan Vargas rolling towards the lead.
And legends in the making.
Cole Battle, the story continues. Cole Battle does it.
Sunday, March 1st at the 2026 Rebel Stakes. Watch champions rise on the road to the Kentucky Derby and compete for a $1 million purse. It's all happening just a short drive away at Oaklawn Hot Springs. Plan your stay today and come join the fun.
I always wanted to train myself, especially since I've worked longer at the track and been an assistant. And I know how hard I work and how hard trainers work, and that never scared me off, and it was always something that I thrived on. And I always wanted to also own my own business. You know, both of those things made it something that was appealing to me and something that I wanted to do.
Lindsay Schultz's foundation to becoming a trainer runs deep. She grew up riding hunters and jumpers in Connecticut and got her first job mucking stalls before becoming a teen.
Honestly, I didn't really watch much racing until I went to college. It took me a little while to get into it, but once I did, I didn't stop.
She chose the University of Louisville not because it's located in the heart of racing, but to ride on its equestrian team, and most importantly for the school's equine studies at the College of Business.
So that was kind of one of the things that drew me to Louisville, because a lot of the other equine programs don't have a business program to back them up. I try to be logical, and it made sense to learn the business side of it.
After graduating from Louisville, Schultz learned the game globally through a 2-year internship in Darley's Flying Start Management Training Program. The past decade, she worked as a longtime assistant to Tom Proctor, managed Glen Hill Farm in Florida before going to work for Shug McGahee. Then in November of 2021, Schultz finally felt it was time to go out on her own.
It was really important to me to really understand every part of the business, especially since I didn't grow up in it. I don't have parents in it. I wasn't born on a horse.
Schultz's euphoric moment happened in just her 7th career start. The appropriately named Capture the Glory took charge in the stretch.
Capture the Glory is still strong, and this is going to give trainer Lindsay Schultz her first career victory. Capture the Glory indeed. Congratulations go to trainer Lindsay Schultz for her first training victory.
There's definitely horses that we can build on, and it's exciting to kind of get started and get the ball rolling.
Nice, complete horsemanship background for Lindsay Schultz, and she's doing a great job. We got a big field here of $8,000 claimers, and Lindsay Schultz has the 11, who you're a little bit interested in, Stellar Vino.
Yeah, Jackman, the number 4 Jackman, is going to take some beating in this spot. But I opted to go against that horse, trying to take a little bit of a shot off the chalk with the 11 Stellar Vino, who's taking a drop down in class, gets the first time gelding, which is an angle I like to try from time to time, but also cutting back in distance, which I'm very interested to see if this new gelding status will perhaps maybe wake this horse up a bit, maybe be a little bit more forwardly placed. But I mean, he was favored. He was 2-1 last time out for 12-5. Now you're getting 9-1 on him at the $8,000 tag. I just thought he made sense in this group. And while I do find his running style here lately has been coming from off of it, I think there should be a decent pace on hand. We will see.
And you often tell me how much you like turnbacks. This is certainly a turnback.
I love a turnback angle more often than not. I feel like especially with this kind of horse. So we'll see if it works out for him. I'm interested to see if it all materializes and puts himself into this race because he's kind of just been flat. And especially seeing those horses, especially now, first off the claim, it seemed as if she had an intention with this horse. And that's always nice to see when trainers, especially astute as Lindsay, seeks out specific horses and kind of makes them over a bit, trying to flesh them out, especially now dropping back in tag.
I mean, the 2-horse Midnight Majesty is taking a precipitous drop in class. Basically had been an allowance company, then last time for 30. I thought showed a slight bit of run, but drops right to the $8,000 level now.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough, right? You're trying to see who's going to take the opportunity on the drop down in class. I mean, I believe this is the lowest they go here at Oaklawn Park as far as this $8,000 tag. I will say with the number 2 Midnight Majesty, also one that has, I believe, missed some training. So we'll see if the 7-year-old can be revived, but has won on a wet surface before, but has not been able to notch a win at Oaklawn Park.
And then your favorite, Jackman. I mean, hard not to like this horse. 56 career starts, 16 wins, 10 seconds, 9 thirds, earnings of nearly $600,000. And he just shows up and tries every time.
Such a cool customer, first off the claim from Steve Asmussen, but also got a little bit of time. And the numbers for the Abel Rodriguez Ramirez barn is just astounding when it comes to his claiming game. That's his business. That's what he does. And he's just very good at it. And he's got some early speed. I think he'll be in the mix. And again, he has never been off the board in any of his 7 wet track tries. 3 wins doing so.
Yeah, and I like to see that. 7 starts on wet tracks, 3 wins, 4 seconds. Martini Blue should be forward. The 7.
Yeah, the 7 Martini Blue. Again, I mean, consistent commodity. I think that's an obvious win contender. But this horse is coming off a layoff. We'll see if he can be fresh. But he ran pretty well decently first off of the layoff here last year, getting his start back in January of 2025. And he just always seems to show up with a run. So I would definitely include the number 7 as well.
Field lining up in orderly fashion. Let's send it upstairs to Matt Dinnerman for the call of race 5.
Oh, Gambler Rocket and Hightail Cowboy outside post rounds out the group. Waiting for Hightail Cowboy to the outside. Still working with Hightail Cowboy. Goes in. We're ready to go. And we're off. Jackman, the old pro, blasts out of post 4, goes right to the lead. Shake up in the orange jacket, taking second, comes after the favorite here. KPK West settles off the pace, running in third. Hightail Cowboy on the far outside. Gambler Rocket moving through inside within a length and a half of Jackman, who clears off on the lead here. Sergeant Gump is in midfield. Kunshan Bridge joins him. Midnight Majesty, the gray off of heels with Martini Blue approaching the far turn run. He's about 6 ahead of City of Clouds, and Born Flawless is the trailer as they go into the forward turn. Jackman says, come and catch me if you can. It's Jackman opening up 2 and going strong around the forward turn. KPK West in an all-out drive second. Gambler Rocket third on the rail has been passed by Stellar Vino, who's about to claim second from KPK West, who's under a hard ride and retreating. At the top of the stretch, it's Jackman. Jackman off the turn. Ramon Vasquez has got to be happy what's underneath him here. He's got plenty of horse. Jackman down the lane. The reins get shaken at him, and he accelerates with a big burst. And Jackman, what a cool old pro this guy is. He's coming down the lane to the roar from the Hot Springs crowd. Jackman, another win here in Hot Springs. Jackman by 6. Kunshan Bridge was second. City of Clouds third. Martini Blue checks in fourth.
Well, your favorite Jackman just gets it done late over this field. When he broke out of the gate so sharply, Ramon Vasquez allowed him to just control the race from the start. It was pretty much over. Flag fall to that's all.
Yeah, I mean, he was just best of this group. He is an 8-year-old, as you mentioned, earnings close to $600,000, and shows up, it seems, and runs his races. He's at the right level, coming off a little bit of time from that December the 12th effort, but kudos to the Abel Rodriguez Ramirez barn. Yet another astute claim, getting this horse to the winner's circle. It was over when he got to the front end.
It really was. And now 8 starts on wet surfaces, 4 wins, 4 seconds. Pretty impressive record there. His 17th win overall in his career. You love these old pros. What a warrior. And these horses, to me, are the backbone of our game. They show up. They give it their best every single time. Like my people, the way I like my horses, honest and hardworking. Let's head back to Andy Sherling and Jonathan Kitchen.
It's funny because I like lazy liars, so it's one of the many ways that Richie and I are very, very different people. That was some form of Jackman is a pretty cool horse. He's now 17 for 57, hitting the board 36 out of 57 times. Very impressive horse, no doubt, as we're looking at the favorite at 6-5 in race number 6, coming off a layoff, Kid Billy for Bill Mott. Boy, does this horse have some warning signs, doesn't he?
It's a long break, and I looked back. A lot of times with horses like this, especially when they're in the same connections, I like to look back to see if they've had long breaks before and how they've come back and run. He had a break between January 2024 to November 2024, came back and ran third, beaten 6. Didn't run horribly, but it didn't run great. It wasn't a sign enough for me to just completely be angry and not want to use the horse at all. I would use the horse, but I think that there's some value with the 3 Enduring Spirit, who I thought ran well a couple starts ago, and I'm thinking Michelle Giangilio might be able to right the ship there.
Yeah, I find him to be a little bit suspect in here as well, and I'm not in love with good money either, but today is not a day to be betting against horses I don't like because they're running very, very well. I do like this horse, Complex Music, who's come down from his 8-1 morning line, Jimmy Ferraro and Manny Franco.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's shown a couple of, in his last race especially, where he showed a lot of early speed, got a little bit tired late, maybe a little bit more equitable trip around there. And he'll be able to get it.
Kendrick on your pick for Michelle Giangilio, Enduring Spirit?
I just think the cutback's going to help quite a bit.
Coming off a wet track last time, the 4 Good Money comes off the claim for Linda Rice.
I mean, anytime I see a horse switch to Linda's barn, I always assume that they could run 10 points faster.
It's a horse that was running in Derby preps for Chad Brown a couple of years ago. The 5 is the favorite, good Kid Billy.
Yeah, just the long break's the big question. I mean, the horse has some big races, but are you going to get that big one here today?
Trainer switch on the longest shot on the board. Tapizar's Temper going to Rachel Sells.
Yeah, the dirt race 3 back is okay-ish, but just looks like they're going off form.
Waiver off the layoff for Michelle Nevin with Wake Surf, who I think is dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I think the outside draw, if they can, keep from getting stopped. It hasn't been ideal to be out there. We saw the favorite in the last race kind of get lost in the middle of the racetrack. But sometimes with horses, I feel like it could actually work in their advantage by not having to get stopped. I'd rather them lose the ground, especially when you kind of get some of the lower levels.
On a fair racetrack, I love getting that draw in these elongated sprints coming out, but it's just this track has been so inside. As you see the prices from Oaklawn with the favorite Jackman winning, and Cunchin Bridge has been around a while as well. Complex Music, both Maggie and I like him. Let's find more about him and some others as we head down to Mag.
Well, in the last race, I wasn't feeling confident about my pick based on appearances, but Complex Music, however, I am. Because, well, A, he doesn't have to deal with a layoff that many of the other logical contenders have to do. And he just looks fantastic. I mean, he's a ball of energy. He was totally against the racetrack last time, as you guys touched on. And he's a horse that I have liked for previous connections, too. So I think this is the right scenario for him to take advantage of. But as you can see, he's full of himself all out on the track, thankfully getting linked back up with the pony. But his main competition lies with horses that have layoffs to overcome, and one of them is number 5, Kid Billy, current battling favorite with the 4. And Kid Billy, I must admit, is a horse that I've never really warmed to. He's just kind of a little bit awkwardly put together, physically speaking. And he does come back here, though, looking incredibly fit, which he typically does. He is moving pretty well. Now, they are being better than I've seen him in the past, too. And they're being really aggressive with this guy. He's fine if you like him. I just don't trust him, to be honest. There's just some intangibles that I just don't love. And number 4, Good Money to his inside. While he did get the win narrowly, if you watch that race live, I don't know how you could ever call that photo. It definitely looked as though he did not get the win. It wasn't anything to write home about. However, it was his first start as a gelding. So a lot of times, horses will continue to kind of get a little bit better with that ultimate equipment change the longer it has time to sink in, if you will. But this is isn't one of your really well turned out Linda Rice horses. He just looks a bit long and wispy in his coat. He could look more fit overall. And given the fact that I have known this horse in the past, going back to early last year, just doesn't look quite as good. Now, granted, it's a lot easier company than what he was in when I last saw him, but again, just not impressed, especially at a short price. Oddly, the horse that I thought looked best off the layoff is number 7, Wake Surf, who on form I can't like at all. Mind you, going back quite a ways, 2-3 years ago, this horse has races that would make him incredibly competitive here, and maybe not even that long ago, maybe a year ago. It's just his last 2 races, or his last race, I should say, for the 16, when he was dropped in off the claim, pretty bad. But Michelle Nevin brings him back here, protects him for the waiver. I loved his energy. He's a horse that in his last was really quiet and sullen in his disposition. He is pumped up. He looks really fit, especially for Michelle, who doesn't necessarily have them cranked up off layoffs or in debuts. So Andy, I do like what I'm seeing from Wake Surf. We'll see if he can find some of his better form that has eluded him going back to last year.
Maggie's just covering herself because I thought Wake Surf was okay. And she told me earlier she didn't like him. So now she sees him on the track and she wants to make sure to cover a little bit. And you know me, I'm an unabashed Michelle Nevin fan, quickly on the 3.
Yeah, I just think that, if you look at the race 2 back, 3 back, and 4 back, before the horse got to Michelle Gianggiulio's barn, all of those races I thought were actually better than they look on paper, and I'm hoping that she can try to find that. Last time she didn't. I'm hoping that she can find it this time.
All right, we'll see what happens and see if Kid Billy is ready off the layoff. Into the gate for race number 6, Chris Griffin with the call.
Tapazar's Temper. Wake Surf, all set. And they're off in a very bad stumble at the start there for Enduring Spirit. Kendrick Carmouche does stay aboard, but a very bad stumble for the 3, Enduring Spirit. Kid Billy right out to the front, and there's Complex Music is ranging up from 2nd. Outwider is Good Money in 3rd. Center of the racetrack comes Wake Surf, and the front 4 really get away from the back 2, Tapazar's Temper and Enduring Spirit. They're chasing Kid Billy, 23.20 for the opening quarter mile. Also one being pulled up there is going to be Good Money. Good Money being pulled up out of the race. Kid Billy is a half length in front. Complex Music is right there in 2nd. Wake Surf is shoved along from the back end of the field. Enduring Spirit and Tapazar's Temper. They're approaching a quarter mile left to go. Kid Billy is in front. It's Kid Billy who's up by a length. Kid Billy now hugs the rail, and Complex Music continues to give chase to the outside. It's Kid Billy and Complex Music still running on there from the back. Enduring Spirit after that start, and Tapazar's Temper inside the final furlong. Kid Billy, Jose Lascano, 2 in front. Complex Music continues to give chase. It's Kid Billy, Complex Music. Kid Billy wins it. Kid Billy over Complex Music, Enduring Spirit, and Tapazar's Temper in 1 minute 11.71 seconds.
Well, while the track has gotten a little fairer, it still maintains a huge inside bias. And clearly the inside speed of Kid Billy off the layoff, getting it done, probably in a new barn. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to America's Day at the Races as Kid Billy is heading into the winner's circle. Bill Mott and Jose Lezcano, and Kid Billy was claimed, as was the runner-up in this race.
That's what's beautiful about this game, right? The race before, we have a favorite who doesn't have very many questions, just a few. Then we have a favorite in this race, Kid Billy, who's got a whole lot of questions. He runs really well. It's what keeps me coming back. The puzzle that's just impossible to solve.
It's the game with no absolutes. They're just, you know, there just aren't. And any horse can lose, and sometimes any horse can win. In this particular case, and obviously an 8-5 or a 5-2, no surprise to a lot of people. But the 5's the kind of horse I always want to bet against, and I do think he benefited from the rail. But regardless, he showed up off the layup, and they're moving on. And we'll see if his next connections try him in a non-winners of two other than New York bred race, because he still has that condition left. Whether or not he can be competitive there remains to be seen. You try him there, and if not, you can run him for a tag. But Kid Billy and Jose Lezcano and the Bill Mott barn getting it done in race number 6. What are we talking about now? We're going to take a little break, but we're going to come back and talk a little bit about Jamie Rodriguez, who had a chance to sit down with none other than Maggie Wolfendale. We'll hear from them when we come back.
The lead belongs to Epic Ride. He is showing them a clean pair of heels.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
New York breds. Race them.
Respect them.
Bet them.
Respect them.
Breed them.
Respect them.
Buy them.
Respect them.
Train them for a second career.
Respect them.
Join us in respecting thoroughbreds at every stage of life. Learn more at nybreds.com.
Seize the Gray wins convincingly.
Seize the Gray. He's going to seize the day in the Pennsylvania Derby.
Seize the Gray is still there. Seize the Gray wins the Preakness.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back. You're watching America's Day at the Races as we have live coverage from Aqueduct as well as Oaklawn, a little Sunland Derby coverage too coming up later. But as we await horses in the paddock for today's 7th race, we'll see Jamie Rodriguez aboard number 2, Autumn's Turn, in here, as Jamie currently sits in 3rd in the jockey standings here at this current meeting with 22 wins and counting. And since he moved his tack back here to New York in late fall of last year, he has seen numerous stakes victories, including yesterday in the Eastview, as well as the Ruthless and the Jerome. And while it has maybe been a long and arduous trip, sometimes arduous, back here to New York with hard work and the support of his family, we're seeing Jamie realizing his dreams. Jamie, we see you making quite an impression here in New York, winning races left and right. But many people might not know that you actually began your career here in New York 15 years ago. Talk a little bit about the early days.
I came in 2010. I came straight to Belmont. I rode in Belmont. We went to Saratoga. I was doing great and everything. And when we back to Belmont, I was a little bit frustrated because I was winning and everything like that. And I packed all my stuff. I got frustrated. I said, you know what, I'm leaving. And I said, once I finish riding, and then I just go back home, or I going back to a different track and everything like that. And that day, I think I went 4. And then I came back home, I unpacked everything. My ego went up and everything like that, you know. We came here in the wintertime, and we are doing amazing here. And I think I was leading Bug Boy. Ramon was first, I was second, and everything was going awesome.
After injuring his collarbone in December of 2010, Jamie spent the next decade riding at Tampa Bay Downs, Mahoning Valley, and Finger Lakes before finding his biggest success at Delaware Park and Laurel Park.
Shas Bullitt and Jamie Rodriguez. They're racing into history here at Laurel Park. It's a record-tying 7-win day for Jamie Rodriguez. Unstoppable Jamie Rodriguez.
You should be really proud of your accomplishments. But one thing that I've noticed that a lot of horsemen have noticed about you is your emphasis on teamwork, and that you like to go out, you like to work horses, you like to be familiar with your mounts from the morning to then get to ride them in the afternoon.
And I love it. Like when they tell me to work, I even tell my agent, I say, I don't care, it can be cold, whatever. And I like that, you know, I like to see people, I like to see the horses that I work and everything like that. I never get scared of working.
Do you remember this?
My God, that's an old picture. Wow, that's Leah Grametti. Yeah, the great filly. Wow.
And it's going to be Greeley's Law. A decisive move by Jamie Rodriguez to the quarter pole.
It's been 15 years of starting proverbially at the top here in New York, and then having to slide back down and now work your way up.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step up?
If everything goes the way he's going right here, you know, I would love to keep going with the meet, Belmont, Saratoga, and then that's one goal we gotta finish. I got the support from the family. My wife always tell me, I say, you can do, and then we be behind you 100%.
How important is it to have the support of your family?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. My 3 kids, basically they're my engine, you know?
Yeah.
If I gotta go to another side of the world for them, I'll do it.
I love that.
It's good, you know, because the way they grow, the time go fly, you know, and every time that I got a little bit of time to spend with them, and I go and do, and then if I gotta go back to work, they even ask me, Daddy, you go back to work? I say, yeah, I gotta go back to work. When will you back? So I'll be back Sunday night. And it's awesome, you know, and especially the little one, oh my gosh. And the older one, that's me completely, the older one, completely. She jump horses and everything, like, I love it. Whatever they wanna do, I'm gonna be there, you know? But I'm gonna give them what I know how when I was a kid, you know, and then I don't care how much expensive they are, you know, and if they are happy, I'm happy.
It was such a pleasure to sit down and talk with Jamie for that interview. He's someone that, you know, kind of lights up the room with your smile. So well liked in the jocks room and liked by horsemen too. So we see a lot of major outfits starting to use him here, Andy. And as you can also see, I go back a ways with Jamie, and I got to set the record straight. I did outbreak him that day.
Listen, I think Maggie should be out there riding. I love that picture of Maggie breaking out of the gate. That was awesome.
It's awesome, yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, he's made a really good impression since coming here. He's a consistently solid and good rider. And, you know, if a rider comes from out of town without, you know, a lot of acclaim and immediately made an impact.
Yeah, and it's an impossible place to do that, right? It's a hard place to break into. There's 1 through 10 is so good that when you walk in here as 11 and 12, it's hard to get opportunities because there's so many others that they can ride. And to break into this colony says a lot about your ability.
Even in the winter, you know, you've got a lot of extremely good riders there. He's not an apprentice, and he's done well, and he's impressed a lot of people. That's for sure as we head back to Meg and Meg at Oaklawn.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. And count me as one of the people that has been very, very impressed with him. Like his attitude, like his work ethic, and his riding speaks for itself. And I love that picture, too, of he and Maggie breaking out of the gate. I'm throwing down the gauntlet. I'll break from the gate one more time if Maggie wants to take me on. I think she's pretty much undefeated, but she never faced the MIG. Let's get back to the post parade here, Megan. The 2, Win It, an old friend of ours.
Old friend with consistent gait issues. Maybe you can do the trick.
No, he breaks slow consistently. The 3, Kontiki.
Yeah, one that he's had a little left in his last 2 here. We'll see if he can wake up.
We got It's Bob's Business, the 4.
I believe he'll have some speed. Last time out he closed, and honestly, it made up some real ground, and that pace held on the front end that day.
And the 5 Classic Cut from the Asmussen Barn.
Forward tracker, no show last time out, but decent effort two-back.
On to the 7 Holiday House.
Interesting. Last out, off a bit of time. It didn't look bad, but honestly wasn't a very good group that day.
The 8 was scratched. The 9, One True Chance.
Hasn't come back the same after being sidelined last year.
Well, the 10 Permafrost could be a hunch play because we had some Permafrost around here last week.
This horse has been so consistent at Prairie Meadows. We'll see if he can take that form to Oaklawn.
Here's a major player here from the Norm Cassie Barn in Ludwig.
It's a tale of two Cassies in this group. This is one that I prefer in here.
On to the 12, Summerland.
I've gone way back with this horse, two back there at Churchill. He got the win. We'll see if he can do it again, being more forwardly placed.
And the 13, a horse I told you I really have an affection for, the New York bred I'm Wide Awake.
He's such a cool customer. I mean, check out that turf, some of those turf efforts now getting back to dirt. He is familiar with Oaklawn Park, and he does have some nice wins here doing so.
Now the 11, Ludwig's from the Norm Cassie Barn. The 13, I'm Wide Awake, draws in from the Norm Cassie Barn. I'm Wide Awake does his best running when he's on the lead, but Ludwig's fast too from the same barn. They don't want to get in the way. Who do you think takes the initiative?
I think Luis Saez on the number 11. Ludwig will be forwardly placed. I do believe him to be a bit quicker than the number 13, Wide Awake, and especially just with just handicapping this with Ryder handicapping here. I just find Louis to probably be the more aggressive sort. And I mean, you take a look at that race last time out where he finished third. The likes of Uncashed, who was the next out winner. We saw him unfortunately get defeated yesterday, but he won his next start out of that race. And Lunar Module, his stablemate, dropping down for 62.5 and did well. So I think he's in a great spot. This, to me, feels like an easier field now in for 20.
Classic Cut, the 5 on the screen here. This horse is framing up beautifully on the racetrack. All of Steve Asmussen's horses look good, but I love when I see a horse using themselves properly in the post parade like that.
I'm really interested in this horse as well. At two back, he settled that race where he was second to WW Scout's Honor right here at Oaklawn. He was in behind horses, then got into some traffic, got some room. Unfortunately, was no match for the wire-to-wire winner that day, but he was kind of lugging in a little bit. Seemingly a 6-year-old that sort of resorts back to some of those bad habits, so we'll see if he can put it together, but he's a very rateable sort and always seems to be right there. We'll see if he can put it all together at Oaklawn Park for the first time, though, today.
And, you know, a little bit of the speed came out of the race with the late scratch of the 6 Veil, which I'll be honest with you, I didn't get when I got the first draft of scratches, so he must have been a later scratch.
I do believe he was actually in this race. He was a late scratch, of course, as you mentioned, a huge speed threat, which to me makes the door even more open for those Cassie horses, including the 11 Ludwig, and 8 Lord Majesty was also scratched. He had some speed in there as well for David Jacobson.
We got a serious group of hard-knocking older horses here. We're going to take a timeout in a moment and going to go over to the Fox Sports app because Maryland, Ohio State women's basketball will take a little precedence over us, but we'll be back momentarily. Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. I hope you followed us over from the network to the Fox Sports app as we got good racing to continue here. And right now coming up, we got hard-hitting $20,000 claimers going 6 furlongs here at Oaklawn Park. Ultimately, where did you land, Megan?
I landed on, unfortunately, your favorite. I don't want to say unfortunately, but is the chalk, you suppose, with the 2 Cassie trainees, Norm Cassie trainees, vying for favoritism in the number 11 and the number 13. But as we look at our screen, the number 1, I Got No Money, I thought was incredibly interesting. This is who I'm stacking there with the 11. He was actually the betting favorite last time out on December the 21st, right here at Oaklawn Park. But unfortunately, he was scratched at the gate when he got pretty fractious, and Tyler Bacon had come off that day. But I was in the paddock. I thought he looked tremendous and really carrying himself well as a 9-year-old that's still really showing that good form. I mean, scratched the last race at Fairgrounds where he yielded and was eased that day, and he's coming off of 2 back-to-back winning performances with strong buyer speed figures. So I would not leave out, especially at the 7-to-1 price that you're getting on the number 1. I Got No Money that does have to contend with that inside draw.
You know, sometimes horses act up, Megan, because they're just not happy with something. Something's bugging them, and horses can't speak our language, right? So they do it more by body language, and he looks like he's very composed today.
He does. And it was interesting because he did the same thing last time out. I didn't find any issues with him. It wasn't as if he was over the top in the paddock. He just got to the gate. We'll monitor him closely here, but he just got to the gate and got fractious. So it was kind of one of those spur of the moment decisions. Maybe he just got agitated as a 9-year-old, but we're hoping for him to have a smooth voyage in here. And I think he's got some speed to track from the outside, maybe have that pocket type rateable trip right there off of those speeds, and hopefully he can find himself a way out late.
You know, I full disclosure, big fan of the 13 I'm Wide Awake. Always intended on picking him. He is the co-favorite with the other Norm Cassie. But watching them warm up, I'm calling an audible. I'm going to the 5 Classic Cut. Just warmed up too good under Eric Asmussen, who's been riding in tremendous form, winning at about 21% and riding a lot of winners for his dad, Steve Asmussen. Field loading up here for race 6. Matt Dinnerman will have your call.
It's Bob's Business, post 4, and Ludwig. Classic Cut, post position 5. Sutherland coming up. Into the outside. I'm Wide Awake. Rounds out the field. Waiting for Sutherland. Post position number 12. Still working with Sutherland. Post position number 12. This race begins the late pick 4. 2 runners, the 2 outside horses still working the load them. Sutherland for the Mertcon Cantor Machi barn. Still working here with them, a 9-race program today. And then a reminder for tomorrow, we've got 11 races. First post will be 12:30 Central tomorrow as well. Sutherland has gone in. And here's I'm Wide Awake to the outside post. We're ready to go to kick off the late pick 4. And Laroff, the gray, win it. Was away slowly and then had to take up after the start. From the inside, I Got No Money is prominent. A wall of horses there. Ludwig is in the group. One True Chance in that line. And I'm Wide Awake, who's deeper on the course. Holiday House right off that leading quartet in the 5th spot on the inside. Gap of 2 to Classic Cut with Sutherland and Kontiki to the inside. Another 2 lengths to Permafrost. It's Bob's Business as 1 runner beat. That's the slow starter, Win It, who's the trailer as they go into the far turn. 1 2 Chance has a neck lead here. I Got No Money sent hard inside of him. A deep I'm Wide Awake getting closer. Ludwig inside of him in the 3 path as they round the far turn. Holiday House is waiting behind that quartet. Has got some horse, it appears. 2 back to Sutherland, scrubbed upon, getting to the outside for the stretch drive. And then comes It's Bob's Business, trying to get wound up from the back. They're off the turn. I Got No Money hugs the rail. 1 True Chance is given way. Ludwig is there battling for the win, too. They're down the lane. Ludwig, and also on the inside, I Got No Money. Far outside, Sutherland's kicking on, and Holiday House finding a seam up the rail. It's I Got No Money, head in front of Ludwig and Sutherland. Ludwig's got the head in front now. Holiday House is coming. It's Ludwig, though, with a head in front. Ludwig wins it. I Got No Money second. Third home, Holiday House couldn't get there. Sutherland 4th.
And in a blanket finish, any one of 4 could have won it inside the 16th ball. Your top selection, Ludwig, guts it out under very strong handling from Louis Saez.
It felt like that kind of race. And, Louis was able to have him forwardly placed, the right kind of trip for this horse. And as I mentioned last time, last out, he broke out with speed. He tracked off the duo and kind of ran on in a similar way. And I will say he was a little bit distracted last time out. And it almost seemed like when that horse came to his outside, it just disturbed him and he kind of lost it late. But here, I was really anxious right here. You see all these horses around him. I thought he was going to lose it. I wasn't as confident, but he really showed his mind was on business today. As I mentioned, I find he comes out of a tougher group, and it's exciting to see him get the win here for the Norm Cassie barn.
Had his head out, down, reaching for ground. I love to see that kind of effort. Good call by you. Ludwig gets it done as we head back to New York.
Thanks, Richie. Exciting finish at Oaklawn Park. Glad to see my friend Norm Cassie get the win as well. Currently the favorite right now on the far outside is the number 9, Matoli's Girl. And I got to tell you, with that post, and she should have won last time, to me, she's a bit of a dubious favorite.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was I thought the 9 or the 6. I thought the 6 I didn't know who was going to be bet more here.
I would have thought the 6 would be bet more on the drop down. I don't love these drop downs, but Linda Rice has great numbers on drop downs, and Bourbon Serengeti just has a lot more speed than Mitoli's Girl.
Yeah. You know, if I knew that the 1 Bourbon and Lace was going to stay down there until the last possible minute, but you can't predict that, then that would be one that would be a little bit interesting. I worry that Mitoli's Girl is just too consistent in terms of her figures. She hadn't run that well recently prior to her last start, but her figures, you know, she can run in the high 50s, low 60s.
If I'm going to bet a horse, though, that doesn't have speed breaking for outside post, I need a price. I can't on this racetrack consider it. And I kind of like one of the last race take a shot with. And there is the 6 Bourbon Serengeti, who Linda Rice claimed back in July for $50,000, came back for the waiver for $50,000. I'm guessing she wishes the horse was claimed out of that race now, as she's likely to get claimed for $17,500. And I don't like these drop downs, but Linda Rice, here's one for you at Aqueduct. 50% drops in the dirt at Aqueduct over the last 5 years. 31 for 83, 37%, and a 217 ROI. They are winning at a very high clip.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers suggest that's the case. You know, but it just feels, even without looking at the numbers, it feels like Linda wins with these types.
She does. She does. You know, you'll see a lot of people say, well, why are they making a substantial drop? And then the horse wins and wins by a half length. And you say, that's why, because it's exactly where the horse belonged.
Yeah, I think a lot of her success is more, I think it's, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's horsemanship, but
it's running where they can win.
She spots her horses very, very good.
No successful trainer is winning a lot of races by running horses in races they're not good enough to win. I don't care who they are. The number 1, who you mentioned, for Mike Gorham, Bourbon and Lace, a trainer doesn't win here often, but his horses hit the board at a high percentage.
Yeah, I mean, this one feels like it's possible down from the inside. If they could just stay down there as long as possible, it's definitely not been a bad place to be.
Autumn's Turn is looking to win 3 straight for Wayne Potts.
Yeah, just doesn't have a lot of early speed. It's always a concern for me in dirt racing.
My long shot is the 3 Daniil, Rudy Rodriguez and Jose Gomez.
I got to hear more about this one.
Well, I mean, this horse has a lot of back form, good enough, so I give this horse a chance in here. The number 4, 5-2, Joe Parker.
Yeah, not 5-2. You know, didn't run any better since switching to this barn.
The number 5, Sight to See for Devin Gittins.
Yeah, this is one that I just, the last few races just is not picking up their feet for 4 different barns.
There's the favorite, probably making her last start for Linda Rice, for now at least, Bourbon Serengeti.
Yeah, has a little early speed. She has shown speed in the past. I think she would be pretty smart to use it here to try to clear the inside horses.
Long shot is another cliche going out for Norman Follett.
Yeah, I didn't see this one. Getting beat 27 and 19 in the last 2 starts.
Dolce Sarah for Eddie DeLuro.
Yeah, another one that seems to have to get a lot better to beat this group.
And finally, the second choice, Mitoli's Girl for Brad Cox.
I worry, just like you do, that she's going to get hooked wide. The good thing is that Manny's pretty aggressive. Brad Cox, typically his horses are ridden aggressively. The riders have the right to be forward. I'm just hoping that Manny has been paying attention and won't end up getting stuck in a 3-4 wide situation.
He won 6 races the other day because he was paying attention to the racetrack, as we get more from Mag.
Now, when it comes to the 2 battling favorites that we see, the 6 in here, Bourbon Serengeti, and the 9, Mitoli's Girl, look, you don't need really much horse knowledge of their physicals to be able to pick out which of the 2, at least physically, looks better. Jonathan, and you did hold your own the one time you had to fill in for me at Saratoga in the paddock. You would definitely be able to come down here and tell me that number 6, Bourbon Serengeti, looks way better than number 9, Mitoli's Girl, because Mitoli's Girl is just not my type. She's very light framed, and she just lacks so much conditioning behind the saddle. And for me, that's imperative in my racehorses, whereas Bourbon Serengeti, she carries good conditioning. She does look best in this field physically. The one thing that gives me cause for pause with Bourbon Serengeti is that while I haven't been up close and personal with her in the paddock for a very, very long time, she is wearing this blinker that I've seen only Linda run horses in, where it's kind of a cheater blinker on the inside, so a short cup, and then it's like a quasi extension blinker, but not really, over the right outside eye, where it's a bit more of a fuller cup, and it kind of comes out to a point right on a horse's eye line, on their sight line. So I don't love to see that kind of equipment, but again, she was against the racetrack in her last, so I think you can forgive her for that. And obviously, it is a precipitous drop in class, as we'll check in with number 1 coming in from out of town, Bourbon and Lace. For Mike Gorham, I respect this trainer. He usually brings horses here that at least fit. Maybe they're not the winningest types or layovers in fields, but they fit. She does physically as well. And she comes out of a race in which only 2 horses have run back, including the winner, and both have come back and won. And then Andy's long shot, who isn't the biggest long shot in the world, 11-1. She was a little bit lower than that a few moments ago. Daniil, number 3. I love the way she looked in the paddock. Granted, I've liked her in the past, but she comes off a bit of a freshening, really great energy, kind of lively in the paddock, bouncing around, good conditioning, looks fit enough for her. Maybe she'll benefit from a start, granted, but I think she could get a piece of this at a generous price, Andy.
Thanks a lot, Maggie. Appreciate it as they're going to the gate. Yeah, we were talking about the 3 Daniil because Maggie and I was talking about it before the card. Source was 20-1 morning line, and I thought the source made a little bit of sense for it. Obviously, a lot of people agree as she is half the price, but the 6 and 9 take an equal amount of money in this race. I'm a little surprised. I thought the 6 would be a little bit more of a favorite.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was confused which one was going to be favored here. I mean, I guess, especially off of the 9, Matoli's girl's last race too, right? First time for Brad. It's one of her better races in her last few starts, and she was tactical in that race. And if I'm looking for her to take another step forward, I'm looking for Manny to be aggressive. I'm looking for Manny to not hang us out in the 3 path here.
I'm just not sure what he can do because this horse really has a little bit of speed, but isn't that fast. And I agree he's been aggressive. He is an aggressive rider. This horse had such a dream trip coming up the inside last time. And I know the race came apart a little bit and she was a bit close to the pace. I'm just not used to Brad Cox, Sandy Goldfarb claims coming out and races where they look like they're going to win and failing because they just win.
Well, the one thing I'll say is that there's not a lot of other speed in here, and it feels like the 9, while might not be that quick on the surface, I think in this group might be quick enough to stay connected.
And it appears that the number 4, 5-2, will be a late scratch, as you've seen the rider, Trevor Simpson, taking the saddle off and walking away right now. So number 4, 5-2, who was over 20-1, is scratched from race number 7. It just seems, though, that like Bourbon Serengeti is just so much faster, right? And you've got Kendrick. And I will say Kendrick has been very alert to the bias for a long time.
When you say a long time, I mean that to me. I'm thinking like career. He's always been. But he's always been paying attention. Yeah, and I think that comes from
riding at parks.
Yeah, some of the lesser tracks where it's probably a little bit harder to maintain the racetrack with the weather and the crews and he's always been one that pays attention to the bias on the racetrack.
I was watching a head-on of a random race at Parks the other day. The entire field was in like the 8 path out. I always get a kick. There's usually one guy who's right on the rail. I always find that particularly amusing. We're going to take a quick break as we're on the app right now. We'll be coming back to FS2, so we're going to take a quick break before race number 7 because they're heading towards the gate for that race. Take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to America's Day at the Races as we are back on FS2 just in time for the horses to load for race number 7 where 2 horses battling for favoritism. I prefer the 6, Bourbon Serengeti. You're taking the other one, Matoli's Girl?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 9. I don't disagree with you on the surface about kind of feeling like a little bit of no man's land could be coming for the 9. Not quite fast enough to make the front. But I do think that if you look to the horses to the inside, none of them are that fast either. And I think that that might make the 9 look and feel a little bit faster just because of the group that she's found.
All right, we're going to see what happens in here, and we'll see how the pace plays out as well, as it does continue to be a bit of an inside-y track here as they're loading into the gate. We're seeing the number 1, Bourbon and Lace, going in. The other Bourbon horse. The way my picks are doing, I'm going to need a lot of Bourbon after today's races. We'll see what happens. I do prefer the speed of Bourbon Serengeti and hope that Kendrick is able to clear. We'll see what happens in this race. As they're heading into the gate, Chris Griffin will have the call.
Daniil. Dolce Setta. Sight to See. Mitoli's Girl to the outside. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Step slow for Autumn's Turn, the early trailer. Another cliche is asked for speed, and in between horses there is Bourbon Serengeti. Also joining them in the orange cap is Daniil at the rail. Mitoli's Girl is settled off of them, is now a challenging 4th. The leader is Bourbon Serengeti. Bourbon Serengeti with a neck advantage to the inside Daniil, and now to the outside. A close-up 3rd is Mitoli's Girl. Dropping off the pace is going to be another cliche, is back to 4th. Sight to See is at the rail in 5th. It's a gap of another 3. Back to Dolce Setta, another gap of 5. Back to the 2 trailers, that's Bourbon and Lace, and slow starting Autumn's Turn. 23 and 4 for that opening quarter mile. Daniil takes it right to Bourbon Serengeti. Plenty of pressure on towards the inside. Daniil and Bourbon Serengeti approaching a half mile left to go. Mitoli's Girl in pursuit from 3rd. Starts to move in closer now for Manny Franco, and now Mitoli's Girl on the move. Back there in 4th is going to be Sight to See. Underdrive, another cliche, is dropping back. Then from the back, here comes Bourbon and Lace with a rally. Autumn's Turn trying to run on, and Dolce Setta. 47 and 4 for a half mile time. Daniil is still in front. All in. Bourbon Serengeti is trying to make up the ground. Stalling there in 3rd is Mitoli's Girl, is not cutting in the margin. And Daniil at a price is hugging the rail and trying to kick away. Daniil is in front and trying to fend off the challenge of Bourbon Serengeti, who's got every shot to run this leader down. Bourbon and Lace made up a lot of ground from way out of it. Inside the final furlong, Daniil is coming back. Bourbon Serengeti's chasing. Bourbon and Lace is the main danger, grandstand side. Down to this trio, Bourbon and Lace from way off the pace. Bourbon and Lace won it. Bourbon and Lace, then a photo. Daniil there with Bourbon Serengeti and Autumn's Turn in 1 minute 40.64 seconds.
These are the kind of races that you see on a biased racetrack, right? Daniil battling every step of the way at a big price, finally succumbs at the end, ends up finishing 2nd. Bourbon Serengeti, the favorite, chasing on the outside, getting nothing. But there's Bourbon and Lace, who never left the rail under Christopher Elliott, and this is not the only race he's won by staying inside with horses until the absolute last moment, taking advantage of that bias, angling out, getting the right trip, and getting it done at 7-1.
It's funny, I mean, we said it, I didn't do anything with it. We said if I knew that he was going to stay down there as long as possible and then come out like he did here, then he would have been a much more attractive type of, she would have been, a much more attractive option. And that's how you ride a track like this. Perfect. Yep. Stay on the inside as long as you possibly can, and then jump off the inside when you're ready to.
I bet a little bit to win on Daniil and box 3-6 and press 6-3, and not smart enough to have any 1-3s, but Christopher Elliott gave a terrific ride. Nice to see Mike Gorman, who ships up here, and we were saying this is just his 3rd win in the dirt here in 58 starters over the last 5 years, but he's hit the board with over 40% of those starters, so they're running. They're just not winning that often, but things worked out very well today. Was he a little lucky to win? Yeah, but you know what? You stick around, you run live horses, sometimes you get lucky. More often than not, you get unlucky. Here, got the money under a terrific ride by Christopher Elliott as Bourbon and Lace upsets our 7th race with Bourbon and Lace. Much, much more to come on America's Day at the Races. Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Gainesway. Power, passion, performance at Gainesway Farm. Race number 7, not official yet, but the one, Bourbon and Lace, heading back to the winner's circle for Christopher Elliott and trainer Mike Gorham.
I heard Angel Cordero tell me one time that if there's 10 races on a card, any of the riders in the room would have won on 7 of them. The other 3, the rider made the difference. Christopher Elliott's decisions here made the difference. If this horse ends up circling wide early or not sticking down on the rail the entire time, I don't think he wins this race as easily as he did.
Right, and for those people saying, and obviously it helped him to get the rail, to draw the inside, but he's been doing this on horses that weren't necessarily on the rail. And, listen, a lot of the times the best rides that riders give are on horses that lose. Nobody ever seems to notice a good ride in a horse that runs 3rd or 4th. And that's a jockey's job, because jockeys aren't going to win that often in horses that weren't the best horse. Right. But you try not to lose on horses that their best horse. And I think Christopher is really, I think he's shown a lot in the year and a half he's been riding in New York.
I agree. I completely do agree. And it's like we talked about earlier with Jamie Rodriguez. It's a hard place to crack into. So it's almost like if you're doing well here, you're doing really well.
I agree. You lose the bug. I mean, how many good riders have we seen over the years lose the bug and they just disappear? You say to yourself like 6 months later, hey, whatever happened to so-and-so? Not been the case for Christopher Elliott, who's still holding his own here, and it's not an easy thing to do. The number 5, Moongate, who appears to be the speed of the speed in this race, currently the favorite here for trainer Linda Rice. Kendrick Carmouche has them out in race number 8 to close out our card. Well, we saw quite a few stakes yesterday on the card. We had the 3-year-olds running in the Eastview and the Damon Runyon, but we also had the older horses running in the Say Florida Sandy, named for one of our favorite hard knockers from years past, owned by Sandy Bacon. And National Identity has completely turned his career. He's always been decent, but boy, has he been good this year.
He's gotten really good. And speaking of, we were talking about Christopher Elliott and good rides and riders. I thought Kendrick's decision at the half-mile pole to open up, he was in between horses, to open up by about 1.5 to 2 lengths, was the decision that kind of broke this race open. Got everyone else chasing, put everyone else in, oh no, I better hurry up and go mode. And I thought that aggression was rewarded with a win in this race.
And a lot of us were concerned because Danny Gargan, his trainer going into the race, was 0 for 28 over the last 5 years getting off Lasix with horses. Now, as had been pointed out yesterday, Sarah pointed this out to me, that this horse had run well without Lasix as a 2-year-old when he couldn't use Lasix and then at some stakes. But it still gave you some cause for pause. That was obviously a good point on her part, but it's something that he struggled with. Not the problem at all for this horse, who just really stepped forward.
Yeah, and Maggie made a joke earlier about how, as long as I got 4 legs and a tail, that's about as far as I can go when it comes to horse physicality. This is a big horse. I mean, a big, serious racehorse, and excited to see who he shows up next.
If you've never read any Damon Runyon, you're doing yourself a disservice. Obviously, many people know him for Guys and Dolls, but just a great writer about gambling in general, and a race named for him. And Arctic Beast, he may have been with the racetrack yesterday. I don't know if he's a beast in the Arctic. He's just a beast.
Yeah, he was really good. And, this is what it looks like if you find the right part of a racetrack, but you're still feels like if he was 3 or 4 wide around there, he's probably going to win. It just wouldn't have been as easy and as impressive.
This is a horse that was running mid-80 buyers to begin his career as a 2-year-old. This is a very talented horse in the Mike Maker barn, and he gets it done as the favorite quite easily in the Damon Runyon. His only loss was in the Springboard Mile. We'll see the winner of the Springboard Mile potentially as the favorite a little bit later in the Sunland Derby, but Arctic Beast gets it done. Not the only stakes of the card, though. The girls took it on in the Eastview a little bit earlier, and of course we'll see him coming back to winner's circle, where Galinda was a very impressive winner. For more on that race and her, let's go to Maggie.
That's right, Andy. Galinda was a very popular winner yesterday of the Eastview, as she goes 2 for 2 in her young career so far for Miguel Clement, Jamie Rodriguez in the irons, and Jamie just seizing the bull by the horn, so to speak, with putting this filly on the front end, riding the rail around there, and she won with the utmost ease. Now, she did regress slightly from a buyer speed figure standpoint with an 80, but really she was doing it all well within herself. Now, Miguel Clement stating that he's looking actually to a little south a little open stakes company, possibly in the Virginia Oaks, which is March 14th. It's a 1-turn mile and a 16th. So maybe looking to get her some Kentucky Oaks points, feeling as though she is better than maybe beyond New York bred company. So looking forward to what she does next, but some dazzling performances for sure yesterday from our New York breds. Andy?
So Miguel is considering Galinda for the Kentucky Oaks. I'm going to have to ask Acacia if she's slipping a little something in his food. Losing his mind a little bit early.
I'm staying away from that one.
She has been very impressive in her 2 starts, and look forward to seeing her wherever she should going forward as we head out to the rest of the team in Oaklawn for their race 7.
Thanks, Andy. Listen, if you're going to dream big, man. You know, just this game's about dreaming big. But we got a nice group here going mile and a 16th in race 7, starting with the 1, Aladdin.
Got some interest in this horse for our colleague Tom Amos. Second off the layoff, was at the bull ring and gets to stretch out in distance here.
And here's Gruda coming off a narrow victory, a hard-fought victory.
And I just think that was an average field. To me, she's got to take a step forward in a big way at that price.
3's Legal Empress.
Yeah, forwardly placed. I just wasn't all that impressed with her last couple efforts at Delta.
Short Leaf Stables, Jenkin.
This was a stakes winner in the year's end in 2024. Let's see if she can find some of that form at a big price.
Davina went by, and then we've got 6 Decadent, who is now your favorite.
I really think the distance is what this filly wants, coming off of a 6-furlong stakes try. I'm interested to see, now that she gets back on Lasix, where her better efforts have come from.
This is just a really nice select group here. It feels like fillies that are just on the cusp of maybe really kind of breaking through, going on to, more stakes company. But the one, Aladdin, is a horse that we both kind of, I think, settled on a bit. Our friend and colleague, Tom Amos, is so good at managing horses and finding spots for them.
Right. She ran in the Rachel Alexandra last year in February and got a really good amount of time off, needed the break, and then came back in a low-profile race there at Delta Downs at the bull ring configuration, where at 7.5 furlongs, it kind of gives them a simulation of a 2-turn affair, right? And now she's getting to stretch back out to a mile and a 16th. She is a $600,000 game winner filly is a half sibling to that grade 1 test winner Chi-Town Lady. So it's got some sprint pedigree on the bottom, but pretty rowdy up top. And I just wonder with her taking another step forward, especially with how well she seems to be doing at Fairgrounds.
Yeah, and I love her post, inside post. This is a race to the first wire, the short wire. Basically, the race ends at the 16th pole. And, she doesn't have to try to find position in that first turn. She's naturally going to get to save ground.
Yeah, and I do find her to have some speed to track in this group, but a horse in the number 6, Decadent, that I'm also incredibly interested in. As I mentioned, I just think the Lasix is really going to perhaps give her that edge. I don't find that she's been all that effective sprinting, despite obviously having a 7-furlong victory to break the maiden, but she's been training well out of that. She was another victim of missed training. She was able to get some work into her, and I liked her physically last time I saw her. I will say this, though. The turf tries made sense. She's a little bit more angular behind. I thought she had some scope and some size to her, as if she would like to get some more ground, which is something that I thought was to her Traeger last time out at 6 furlongs. So I'm really interested to see if she is able to get back to some of that better form now, being able to get the route of ground.
And both of those turf tries, too, were against much tougher. They were in graded stakes company. She sharpened up with a good sprint here last time. I'm a little surprised that she's that strong a favorite. Well, I guess between her and the 2, everybody was going to go in those directions. But you and I are both on the same horse, I believe, in the 1.
Yes, I'm doing 1-6 here. And as far as your other horse, I guess, in this race, the number 2, Zagruda, I feel like this is Brad Cox money here. Now, I understand that she got the victory, a solid 80 by her speed figure against that N1X group, but I just don't think that was a very good group whatsoever. I mean, Goals Delight has won since, but I mean, she just was a no-show that day. It was a slow pace. She got over the inside, and while she was incredibly game, I just found her to be pretty average to be accepting too short of a price, but we'll see if she can take a step forward.
Yeah, well, sometimes horses, have that gut-wrenching effort against other horses, win by a nose. and it takes a little something out of them. Well, time will tell. We have opinions. The horses have the answers. They're loading up. Race 7. Matt Dinnerman will have your call.
Go in Zagruda, Jenkin, Our Divina. Here's Decadent coming up to the outside post. And Laroff. Uneventful beginning for all the runners. Legal Empress on the lead today. Strides in front. Jenkin takes the second spot to come up and press the issue. Aladdin runs in third. Zagruda on a hold fourth going into the turn. Our Divina and Decadent share the back spot together. Around the clubhouse turn, Legal Empress gets a cozy time of it on the lead. Leads a length from Jenkin on her tail running in second. Aladdin third to the inside. Gap of 2 to Zagruda. Another 3 lengths to Decadent. Our Divina at the back with her. Approaching the back stretch, Legal Empress going at a nice easy pace here. Leads a half length. Jenkin applying the heat from the outside, getting closer. On a little bit of a hold here. There's a gap of 2. Aladdin racing alone, niggled along with 5 furlongs to go. Zagruda, she's on restraint right now. 3 off the pace and a good spot on the outside. Gap of 5. Decadent, second to last, a half length in front of Our Divina as they're halfway home here. Legal Empress approaching the turn. Narrow lead here on Jenkin. They're on the outside. Aladdin third going into the turn. She's shoved upon, and Zagruda has come under a ride in that 4th position. Zagruda being asked to go by Luis Saez, but she's just plotting in place right now. Decadent still in the second last position. Our Divina at the rear as they round the far turn. Legal Empress trying to steal it. Legal Empress opening up 2.5 lengths with a burst and tries to give him the slip right now. Jenkins second, Aladdin alongside. Decadent in 4th, riding the rail as they come off the turn. Zagruda at the back as they come down the lane. Legal Empress in front by 2. Aladdin with Game Chase. Decadent on the inside third with about a 16th of a mile left to go. Legal Empress is still clear. Legal Empress coming to the line in front of length. Decadent lunging after her with Aladdin, but they're not going to get her. Legal Empress all the way at 6-1. Photo for second, Aladdin and Decadent. Our Divina checked in 4th.
Legal Empress gets it done, gate to wire, and a very nice ride by Tyler Bacon. Got very comfortable on the lead, Megan.
Exactly where she needed to be. I mean, setting this filly was what really seemed to be the key with her. And I will say this, she does it coming off of a layoff at Delta. She's 2 for 6 here at Oaklawn Park with 2 starts in the money. And last time out, she lost to a head by Floating Beauty, who next out earned an 81 Buyer speed figures. So she's been up against some decent horses and gets the job done.
A nice effort here. There was a photo for second between the 1 Aladdin and the 6 Decadent. We'll be back after this quick timeout for the finale, race 8 at Aqueduct.
Quality Road, proving Lane's End's tried and true stallion-making tradition. Quality Road has sired multiple Eclipse Award and Grade 1 winners, including Champions National Treasure, Corniche, Abel Tasman, and recent Grade 1 winners Hope Road and Clicquot. He's a leader of his generation. Quality Road, a stallion that stands above the rest.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, boost your bankroll with weekly promotions, and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
First again and again and again. First mission, 4 graded stakes. He made finishing first his mission, and all with big buyers. Now he's a Darley stallion, and breeders are falling in love with him. Here's fabled horseman John Williams.
First Mission is an eyeful. He's beautifully balanced, and I love the way he uses himself as he moves.
Come to see First Mission and tell us your first impression. Consider it your mission.
Join analysts Matthew DeSantis and Kaylee Shapiro on the road to the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks. Get picks and analysis for all the prep races and gain insight into promising contenders on the trail to the Derby and Oaks. That and more on the Naira Bets YouTube channel. The Belmont Stakes Racing Festival returns for the final time to historic Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss the Belmont Festival at Saratoga. June 3rd through 7th. Secure your place in history at BelmontStakes.com.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races as the horses are heading into the paddock for race number 8 to close out our card and our 5-day racing week at Aqueduct. It's been nice to be able to get some racing in as the weather has finally gotten a little bit better and a little bit warmer. Moongate, no surprise, the 4-5 favorite. Off the claim for Linda Rice, who has outstanding numbers, stretching out from sprints to routes as this horse went 6 furlongs and goes a mile today. Stretching out from a sprint to a route on the dirt off the claim, Linda Rice is 29 for 84, 35%. But the ROI is a little bit under $2, $1.89. I guess that reflects a lot of horses that are big favorites.
Yeah, and the one thing that if we've seen the inside, be a advantageous place to be, Moongate projects to get there. With that stretch out speed, you have Kendrick, who's, like we talk about, is always aware of those situations. Pop away from there, should end up on the inside, and it could be really tough to beat. I guess Kyle's Mom, the 2, could end up on the inside a little bit too, but at such close prices, give me the horse that's going to be in front in the 5.
Yeah, it's funny. The time form pace projector, which you and I use quite a bit, has them kind of battling it out. I feel like Kyle's Mom is coming out of route races with speed, whereas Moongate is coming out of sprint race with speed, where she was battling with a fast horse like Majestic Reward last time. And I just think she's faster unless Jose Lezcano goes on a mission with Kyle's Mom, which he may do.
I think we both, like you said, appreciate and use the pace projector from Timeform US. The one thing that it doesn't take into consideration, obviously, is intent.
Well, sure.
And I think that the intent from Kendrick, I would assume, is going to be to clear and get to the lead.
What I like about it is it makes you think that way. You look at it, you see the way they lay it out, and then you make decisions. Is the number 1, Amity Island on the track.
Yeah, don't even think the rail can help this horse.
Kyle's Mon, probably be inside. Jeremiah Englehart.
Absolutely. I mean, even if they end up just kind of in the pocket and behind the 5, should work out a nice trip.
The number 3, not named for the legend that is Nick Santagata, goes out for Devin Gittins.
Yeah, hasn't improved at all since leaving Horatio DePaz's barn.
The 4, Asa Ira, has lost the form, but there's the 7, Toxic Girl for Linda Rice.
Yeah, the 7, Toxic Girl. She's going to end up getting a wide trip, it feels like.
They're keeping us on our toes here. There's the favorite, Moongate.
Yeah, the deserved favorite and the likeliest winner.
The number 8, Gregorian Solo, goes out for Lisa Lugovic.
It's another one that just feels like they're going to get hooked wide all the way around there.
I took a shot with the 9, She's Complicated. Oh, there's the 4, sorry, going back in order, Asaira.
Asaira. All right, here we go. Here's the 9.
And there's the 9. My pick, She's Complicated, but she's going to have trouble. I thought she actually ran pretty well last time, but not a good draw outside.
You post your picks really early.
Yeah.
You do Talking Horses in the morning, the handicapping show, where you go through the card, so you don't change. Would you change?
I don't like to make picks in advance, assuming there's a bias. I mean, I don't mind if there's a horse I really like and, it's going to be a price and maybe I would have picked it second. I might move the horse up on top. I'm not playing the game of worrying about my top choices winning. People want to do that, that's fine. That's on them. I think as a horse player, you have to understand that the pricier horses I'm putting second and third, trying to be more logical on top, which doesn't mean I don't put a long shot on top if I really like the horse. But I think, you're a horse player. You came to this show as somebody who bet the horses. I have also. I've played the pari-mutuel game for a long, long time. And if you're not ready as a horse player to come to the track and make adjustments to your selections, if you're somebody that says, I like the 5 and the 6 race, and no matter what happens, you're betting the 5 and the 6 race, you're also what's known as a losing horse player. You have to be willing to adjust.
No, I agree. You have to. You can't. There's no absolutes. It's a game of absolutely no absolutes, and
it's the only absolute.
Yeah, loving a horse at 9 a.m. does not mean you have to love a horse at 4:45.
You think they're going to be 4-1, and they turn out to be 6-5? It's a very different story, Maggie.
It's so true. You kind of predicted that on the handicapping show earlier, that there was no way that Moongate was going to be 4-1, and obviously she's 7-5 now as we are approaching post time. But this is a split division of the former race, and we had 2 favorites in that affair, kind of battling things out. But physically, there was a massive disparity between the 2. Now, neither of them won, but one did run a bit better than the other. In this affair, though, number 2, Kyle's Mom, and number 5, Moongate, they look sensational. They look by far the 2 horses to beat in here. So whoever you like, feel good about it. But let's take a look at some long shots. Actually taking some nibbles here is number 9, She's Complicated, whom last time out we saw a bit of a pace collapse in that January 23rd affair, in which she was a major part of it. She kind of easily got to the lead. Then she took pressure. She was swarmed at the quarter pole. And as the horses kind of went by her, it looked as though Ricardo was wrapping up on her. And then he was like, oh, wait a minute, I still got a little horse here. And he kind of went down and set her down again. And she kept responding, battling on just to be beaten 3 3/4 lengths. Now, her hand's forced here. She's on the far outside. It's not an ideal situation. But last time I did note how she wasn't washed out, which she is named very, very well. I mean, this is a filly that lives on her nerves. And 2, I like the fact that Ricardo kind of got on her, kept his feet out of the irons, stayed with the pony just to keep her relaxed. And I think that is the key to success with She's Complicated, keeping her calm, keeping her not worrying about things as much. As a total long shot, I don't know, I might be on the crazy train here, but number 3, Santa Gata. She's coming off of a layoff. She's one that at times does not carry great weight or conditioning. Looks fabulous in that department today. Also, she can be a bit of a nervous wreck. She can be incredibly hard to saddle. None of that today. Relaxed, happy horse. I like the 1 mile distance for her. I know she's not shown much in her career, but I'm just looking at a completely different horse, at least physically today, Andy.
Thanks, Maggie. Well, I'm hoping She's Complicated runs well. I'd be honest with you, 6-1 from that post does not do a lot for me. I like what Maggie has to say, and we talked about it earlier, and we both thought she was an interesting player in this race. I put her on top, thinking she'd be a bit of a price. I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised that Kyle's Mon, who was the morning line favorite, I didn't think she'd be favored over Moongate, but here we are.
Yeah, that's a little shocking to me as well that she is taking that much money, but she's drawn well, and maybe that has a lot to do with it.
Yep. We'll see how things play out. The 8th and final race today and this week. They're almost in the gate. Chris Griffin will have the call.
Here's Asaida. And She's Complicated. Last to load. The 8th and final on this Sunday afternoon program. Here at Aqueduct, She's Complicated goes in. All set. And they're off. She's Complicated broke very outward, just took an immediate right turn at the start, now straightens up, is towards the back end of the field. The speed is in between Horses and Moongate, and now She's Complicated, now rushing up on the outside. Also in between them is Santa Gata. That's the top trio as they come out of the chute. Kyle's Mom is a well-settled 4th. It's towards the inside here of Toxic Girl. Then in the center of the racetrack, here comes Gregorian Solo, is in the green cap. Asaida and the trailer, Amity Island. It's a battle on for the front, and to the inside it's Moongate with plenty of pressure. 24.36 for that opening quarter mile. Santa Gata in between horses. 3 wide is going to be She's Complicated. The trip comes for Kyle's Mom, and Kyle's Mom is a well-spotted 4th right in behind. The early pace. Trying to run on as Gregorian Solo. Toxic Girl has lost ground. Asaida is on the move from the back end of the field, and the trailer is Amity Island. The leader is Moongate, and here She's Complicated to the outside. Santa Gata backed out of it, and that was trouble for Kyle's Mom, who had to steady and wait for room as trying to re-rally at the rail. Gregorian Solo at a big number is ranging up on the outside. Moongate is the leader. Kyle's Mom is now moved out to the 2 path, has recovered from that trouble on the turn, and Kyle's Mom comes calling for the lead. Kyle's Mom to the outside here of Moongate, who won't go away, and these two are shoulder to shoulder now as they approach a final furlong. Asaida is making up some ground. Gregorian Solo, but with a furlong left to go. Can Kyle's Mom put away Moongate? Moongate battles onto the inside. Kyle's Mom to the outside. These two down the line. Kyle's Mom, Moongate. Kyle's Mom, Moongate. Kyle's Mom wins the finale. Kyle's Mom over Moongate. Then came Asaida and Santa Gata in 1 minute 40.18 seconds.
A ding-dong battle between the 6-5 Kyle's Mom over the 8-5 Moongate, and it was close, but Kyle's Mom did have legitimate trouble when the number 3 Santa Gata kind of backed up on her on the backstretch.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch a race like this and you walk away feeling like the 2 was much the best. After getting shut off back there and right outside the 3/8 pole, when he's already kind of started to make his move into a spot, get shut off, then have to take back, circle back around, was much the best. The 5 ran well enough, but the 5 also didn't really have an excuse. Had a nice, comfortable trip. I suppose the 3 coming in there and just getting in the way a little bit, but he never really looked him in the eye and caused too much confusion. I just think that the 2 was the best horse in the race. The 5 was second best, and this is the outcome that was likely to happen in a lot of different other scenarios.
I tried to beat it. My 9 ended up on a wild chase, and Chris Griffin mentioned, we just looked on the head-on here on another TV, and the 9 broke out about 8 paths. I don't think it mattered. I mean, to be fair, I think you could say the 9 was against the track, chasing on the outside, and, at some point after 8 straight days of an extreme bias, we are going to get a much more fair racetrack. And I think when that happens, there are going to be some great bet against and some bets on, but we'll worry about it then. As there is an inquiry, I don't have any idea what it was about. I'm amazed that Santa Gata ran 4th.
I guess we'll find out here.
Oh, they're going to say it's about the first 2? Okay. Well, the 3 had already carried the 5 out. The 5 had already carried the 2 out, right? Yeah, I get that, but the 5 carried the 2 out.
It's got to be more than what's already happened.
2 sort of forced the 5 in. Doesn't help that Jose's got the left-handed, right-handed crop.
It's not enough.
Yeah, if they take this horse down, I give up. And I hope it comes down for you. I know you liked Moongate.
There is a bump. I mean, there's a bump,
yeah,
but it's not enough.
But also, doesn't also feel like the 5 had carried the 2 out a little bit. So once the 5 does that, he's kind of given up the higher ground, right?
Yeah.
The 2 kind of has a right to come in a little bit. And there just wasn't much contact.
No, there definitely was, but it just did not seem significant enough.
But I will say that I think it's good that the stewards say they're looking at these things, because I think people at home see it and they think something happened, and I think it's important to tell the fans they're looking at things, Richie.
Oh, I agree. You want people to know that they're on top of it. Now, listen, I don't think there was anything here that would warrant a disqualification. The only thing I don't like, watch Jose Lezcano's left arm when he turns his stick over in the right hand. Now watch this. I don't like this elbow thing here. Now it was light contact between 2 horses, but his arm should never touch the other rider. And I don't think this should be a disqualification, but that's the only thing. As a former rider, if somebody had put their elbow into me, there's going to be a problem. You've got your space. Your space is in the middle of your horse, not hanging off the side of him into my horse or me. That was the only thing I saw that I didn't like, but I didn't see anything that would warrant a disqualification.
If you're riding against the MiG and you use your elbow, you better have protection on the way back to the jocks room. That's all I have to say.
That's like how he said that. It'd be a problem.
But that was also a very astute observation by him, because he's absolutely right. And I don't think, as Richie said, that it's going to necessitate a disqualification. But I could see the steward saying something to Jose like, cut that nonsense out.
Yeah.
It's unusual to see that from Jose, to be honest with you. You don't usually see that. He's not that kind of rider. I mean, I like to see the competitive instincts come out, but there's a line.
Certainly.
I think it's also easy to sit here and tell you what the line is. It's quite a different thing when you're out there competitively trying to win. And maybe what Jose would say was, well, Kendrick had already carried me out a few paths, so I gave him a little bit of what he gave me, but the answer would be, well, Kendrick did it with his horse, not with his elbow.
I will say this. After hearing Richie talk about it and watching it 3 more times, it's a couple points worse than I thought it was the first time I saw it. And they're still looking at it. I still don't think it's enough.
Why aren't they blinking the 2 and 5 so people know that it's between the 2 and 5? Because it clearly is between the 2 and 5, and I think they should be blinking them and say there's a steward's inquiry and it involves the 2 and 5. Because right now you could say, well, maybe this inquiry involves the 4th place finisher based on the fact that they're not showing anybody. I know that, I don't like. I think you have to be very clear and tell people we are looking at what happened between the stretch. The inquiry sign is down. It's unofficial, but the inquiry sign is down. It remains 2-5-4-3. Agree with the steward's call. Like them looking at it. I'll yell at them later and tell them they got to blink the 2 numbers. We're going to go to break. We'll be back with the official results of race number 8.
Quality Road, proving Lane's End's tried and true stallion-making tradition. Quality Road has sired multiple Eclipse Award and Grade 1 winners, including Champions National Treasure, Corniche, Abel Tasman, and recent Grade 1 winners Hope Road and Clicquot. He's a leader of his generation. Quality Road, a stallion that stands above the rest.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, boost your bankroll with weekly promotions, and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
First again and again and again. First mission, 4 graded stakes. He made finishing first his mission, and all with big buyers. Now he's a Darley Stallion, and breeders are falling in love with him. Here's fabled horseman John Williams.
First Mission is an eyeful. He's beautifully balanced, and I love the way he uses himself as he moves.
Come to see First Mission and tell us your first impression. Consider it your mission.
Join analysts Matthew DeSantis and Kaylee Shapiro on the road to the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks. Get picks and analysis for all the prep races and gain insight into promising contenders on the trail to the Derby and Oaks. That and more on the Naira Bets YouTube channel. The Belmont Stakes Racing Festival returns for the final time to historic Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss the Belmont Festival at Saratoga. June 3rd through 7th. Secure your place in history at BelmontStakes.com.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Bet through Naira Bets. A nice view from Brooklyn. I believe that's the Brooklyn Bridge into downtown Manhattan, as well as the official winner, now official, Kyle's mom, who paid $448 to win. Heading into the winner's circle, the favorite 2-5 exacta, $6.26 for $1 with the pricey Asaira closing out the try. And Santa Gata actually ran surprisingly well to finish 4th in this race as it concludes the action with the favored Kyle's mom on a day where we actually saw a number of price horses getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, it's that happens from time to time when you have a racetrack that can kind of help prop up a horse that might not be as good. It's actually one of the best ways to identify whether a racetrack was biased or not biased on a day is when you look at the past performances and you see a horse that you didn't think was supposed to run well, and they ended up on a certain part of the racetrack and ran well, and then you see a pattern there.
Right. Even second-place finishers. You know, It's funny you mentioned, because I was looking at the results from Fairgrounds, and we were talking about how it was speed-friendly yesterday, which Fairgrounds often is. A lot of short price horses winning as well. I'm going to step aside. Maggie Wolfendale will be taking my spot. Jonathan will be hanging around. It's been a pleasure. A lot more action to come from Oaklawn, as well as some action at Sunland Park as well. We'll be back after a break.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, and there's Saratoga, the Grand Dam of thoroughbred racing, and Belmont Stakes tickets are on sale now. You can go to belmontstakes.com or naira.com, and I would suggest to anybody that's a racing fan, it is an absolute celebration of our sport, loaded with graded stakes races, especially grade 1 stakes races, obviously highlighted by the Belmont Stakes, and you have a chance to witness history firsthand, because this will be our last Belmont at Saratoga with the completion of the new, beautiful Belmont Park. And I got to tell you, Megan, as good a celebration of racing as you're ever going to experience.
I don't find, except for the Breeders' Cup Championship card, that you will find a more complete day of racing than that of Belmont Saturday. It's incredible. Not just Belmont Saturday, the entire week, as we see the loaded stakes schedule. The Saturday, of course, June 6th, the Pinnacle Belmont Stakes Day. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited to see what are these sprinters going to do, these 3-year-old sprinters, in that Woody Stevens. Of course, the Belmont Stakes, all eyes will be on those 3-year-old classic runners. And man, it looks like another incredible group of potential classic Triple Crown types that we're seeing unfold early here at Oaklawn Park.
It's like a 5-course meal. We start out Wednesday with New York Showcase Day, and then the stakes action builds to the main course on Saturday. And then Sunday, we come down to earth a little bit with a couple of stakes, and that's the dessert, if you will. Let's get back to live racing action here at Oaklawn Park. We got race 8, a really good allowance race going 6 furlongs, and I think a couple horses that could be stakes bound in the future. But we'll start out towards the inside here with the 1. Max Got Excited.
He came back flat off the bench last time. Looked like he needed it, and I'm just hoping maybe some of that old form, if you like him there, at a big price.
And from the Peter Miller barn, Peter Miller having a terrific meet here at Oaklawn Park, our Heisman.
We'll hope for a pace meltdown up front, as he tends to come from off of things.
And then Perfect Force from the Steve Asmussen barn.
Like him here at this distance, is rateable with some speed signed on.
Tough Catch for Dallas Stewart.
Scratched out of his stake last week. Showed talent last year at 3. Let's see how he comes back here in his four-year-old debut.
Your favorite, El Prestigio, coming off an impressive victory here at Oaklawn.
Yeah, Joel Rosario not aboard. That is Johan Rosado, but comes off a 91 buyer speed figure and a 6-length romp last time out.
The 6 Go Captain from the Lonnie Briley barn.
Should be the main pace rival to the number 5.
And the 7 horse, Baddest Good Boy, started his career 2 for 2 right here at Oaklawn Park.
Showed some real talent here. That 98 buyer speed figure in just his second start.
And then on the outside, Hailstorm.
A closer, just hasn't really shown much. 3 back, all the way back in August. He showed some form. Let's see if he can find some of it. He'll definitely need to, as he is currently 0 for 6 here at Oaklawn Park.
And Tough Catch, the 4 horse, coming off of a layoff, has raced against some very good horses, has been in stakes company, actually is a stakes winner. And that step from 3 to 4, he could be a bigger, stronger version of himself this year.
He really could. He showed so much talent. These are one of the horses dating all the way back to Saratoga. Those Saratoga debut winners, as he was, you just follow those horses through. They really show that talent. And then he came back to not do so hot in the hopeful, but he really did redeem in that Bowman Mill, had some good form in Kentucky before being a little bit disappointing around 2 turns there in the Lecomte, but came back, and I really think this horse has some talent if he can find his rhythm again here at 4. And Dallas Stewart's horses has been looking absolutely incredible and have been a touch underrated. So I'm really interested to see. And he hasn't missed any training being down at that Fairgrounds base.
You do like the favorite El Prestigio, who got a rider change here today.
He did, and this horse, I think, is a pretty straightforward sort. You get him right there on or near the front end, and you just really rely on him, going all the way 3 back. He beat the likes of New What's New, who looks like a tremendous type there for the Jimmy DeVito barn, but last time out, he was just so impressive. We'll see, though, he should have some pace up front to contend with in the number 6 Go Captain.
I think Go Captain holds the key to the race just from a pace standpoint. He's a long shot, but could put pressure on El Prestigio. I like the 7 Baddest Good Boy coming back sprinting. Was very impressive here last year before kind of getting into tougher company. Well, we'll have the answers in about 1 minute and 10 seconds. Matt Ditterman has your call.
2 back, Tough Catch. Hailstorm to the outside. We're ready to go. And we're off. taking up at the start. Max got excited. Our Heisman away slowly as well. Tough Catch to the lead at once. Go Captain right there playing catch up a half length back. A gap of 3. El Prestigio in third. His stablemate Perfect Force 2.5 behind him. Our Heisman off the pace in 5th. 4 clear of Hailstorm. Baddest Good Boy drops to the back. Max got excited alongside passing and claiming the second last spot. They're motoring on the lead. Look at that first quarter. 21-3. They're sizzling on the lead. Tough Catch says, come and catch me. But here's Go Captain on the outside applying heat. It's going to be tough for either of these to keep this up. They're 3 lengths ahead of El Prestigio. Gets the Garden Trip in third and gets closer 3 wide. Gap of 4. Perfect Force. Hailstorm trying to get underway here with our Heisman. At the top of the stretch they go. Go Captain inside. Tough Catch still going at it. And they're 3 ahead of El Prestigio trying in third. Furlong to go. Tough Catch. Go Captain. They've been going very fast early. Let's see what they've got for this final 16th. Tough Catch kicking away now from Go Captain, and look at Tough Catch. What a game effort from him. Tough Catch. Luis Saez did just that. They couldn't catch him. Second home in the race was Go Captain, and then Hailstorm and Baddest Good Boy.
What an effort off the bench by Tough Catch. He burst out of the starting stalls, was under intense pressure throughout by Go Captain, and kept finding. Tremendous job by Dallas Stewart for Gervais Racing and our own stable. I think it's fair to say that we saw a bigger, stronger version of Tough Catch.
We sure did. And, you know, man, he was scratched out of his stakes last week. This horse would have likely been very competitive in a stakes group, just judging from how well he just ran. And, you know, the dam's name is Try to Catch Her, and that was certainly the case with Tough Catch in here today.
You know, and you were waiting to see what of the back runners are going to come pick them off. These 2 horses ran 1-2 around the racetrack. I love that gunmetal gray of Tough Catch. And this horse, he might have something to say going forward in the sprint division as far as stakes action.
Certainly, you know, I was really a bit disappointed by El Prestigio, who was kind of just sitting right there, back off the pace, and just did not fire and respond in the way I thought that he honestly got a pretty good trip. So we'll see if he can redeem. But hey, Tough Catch, it was all class, and I'm eager to see him step forward. Dallas Stewart's not afraid to run his horses, and I think that we'll be seeing him in Stakes Company in his next try.
Really nice effort here by Tough Catch. And let's welcome in Maggie Wolfendale now on the desk. Maggie, you like those gunmetal grays too, don't you?
No, I don't like any gray horses.
Really? Wow, I'm shocked.
They look pretty, but I'm not, because as a vet once told me, gray is not a color, it's a disease, hinting at they're often the tougher ones to deal with.
Okay.
But Tough Catch was very impressive today. 109-4. Thanks, Mig and Meg. As JK, you and I taking everybody the rest of the way here on the set, and we're heading out to Arizona.
My phone's ringing. It's the ACLU. They're upset about you talking about gray horses like that.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah.
Sorry. We'll take a look here at the Sunland Oaks post parade. Coming up next does offer 20 points to the Kentucky Oaks to the winner here, JK. And we do see a Bob Baffert horse coming back off a little bit of a break by the name Bottle of Rouge. We haven't seen her since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, as Bob Baffert is looking for his 9th win in this Sunland Oaks.
Yeah, he ships him in, and takes the money, and heads back to California.
Here is the post parade number 3, Not a Lady, stretching back out for Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, has a couple of good races, but the figures are just so slow compared to the top couple of horses in here.
There's your favorite, Bottle of Rouge.
She doesn't have to win. I mean, look, she's the best horse in this race based on what she's accomplished, but she's not overly dominant. I think there's another horse in here that could beat her.
And there is another Steve Asmussen horse in Touch of Magic.
Yeah, I mean, all of these horses have light numbers. This horse doesn't break particularly well. That's a big issue for me.
She's also looking for her first win of her career. Stretching out in distance is number 6 in the aggregate.
Yeah, made the lead last time. It wasn't able to hold on. It's going to have better horses chasing her this time around.
She'll go out for the meet's leading trainer in Dick Capalucci. It's number 7, Pashmina. I thought was a little interesting here, up there at 7-1.
This is where I'm going to land. It's not a complete against a Bottle of Rouge. I just feel like there's a lot more value with the 7.
I agree. Such a slow pace last time in that Silver Bullet day, and she was on the 3-wide chase. As number 8 is Coffee Connection. She's looking to remain undefeated, taking down the prep to this race, the Borderplex, local prep, I should say, last time out.
The one sneaky thing about Coffee Connection is while her figures don't seem fast enough, she's never tried to go this long. So maybe that's what kind of wakes her up, gets the best performance out of her. I wouldn't talk anyone off of this one.
No, daughter of Nyquist could very well stretch out and be successful as she takes the blinkers off. But let's look at your current 1-2 favorite in her start 2 ago in the Del Mar Debutante, a grade 1, so she's already a grade 1 winner. She would defeat Explora here, who would come back and run second in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies and earn a stakes victory herself in her next start in the Santa Ynez.
She was 9-1 that day. It's not too often that you get a Bob Baffert stakes winner at 9-1. They're typically, pretty well meant, but there's quite a few Bafferts in here. She happened to be the one that was ignored. I will say this though, she just feels like that was the time. She came back, she ran fine enough against Super Corridor and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She scratched out of Santa Ynez out in California, and she shows up here in a much easier spot. And the other thing too to keep in mind is Bob's record at Sunland Park. He's not bringing over his monsters. He doesn't typically bring those. He brings the kind of second, third string types to try to help them get qualified through their progression and growing up and hoping to get them in the starting gate. And I want to say that Plum Pretty.
Boom, shakalaka, 2011.
Yeah.
And she got in that Kentucky Oaks starting gate, and she won.
Yeah, so it can happen. It can happen.
And you say that like she's his second, third string team here. She's kind of been prepped in that way. Like she's been working with maybe not his best horses. Has been working with a lot of males, and you can watch that over on First TV. And honestly, JK, she's not really doing it for me, at least in the mornings. I wonder if she's really gone on. Looking at her there on the screen, it looks as though she's quite petite. Has she taken that step forward from 2 to 3? That will be the major question. As let's talk about, really quick, I do want to talk about number 2. We kind of glanced over in the post parade. She's your current second choice here for Doug O'Neill. And he said that this Calbred, look, they tried her in the turf last time. It was a race that came up for that state bred program, but she's a big, strong filly, much more inclined to handle the dirt. And I know she has several runner-up performances, but going back to Starlet, I thought it was a pretty good effort.
Yeah, the one thing I guess I don't love about Cashed is that her one win came sprinting where she was 2 to 5. And so now she's had a couple of opportunities to go a little bit longer. She wasn't able to win. She hasn't been able to run fast enough for this group. They tried to turf. To me, it still a lot of feels like they're trying to figure out how good she is, where she needs to be, what she needs to be doing. That doesn't typically get me excited at 4 to 1 in a stakes race.
Sure, I can totally understand that. I will say, going back to that Starlet, she was able to put away the heavy favorite Nima that day. It was another Bob Baffert horse that ran her down. I mean, Nima came to her, cruised to her at the head of the lane, and she battled on, put a length ahead of her, and then was just run down late by Consequent. Yeah, I mean, she does wear those cheek pieces, I noticed. You'll see the red fleece bits on the side of her bridle. So she's your current second choice, but taking a look at your horse there on the screen that you're interested in number 7, Pashmina, like I said, I think she's run those fast races.
Yeah, not quite as fast, depending on what figures you look at as Bottle of Rouge. But the one thing I will say is that she still has an opportunity and a right to improve a little bit. And she seems like she's going in the right direction. The pace she was trying to close into last time wasn't all that quick, so that race probably looks a little bit better than it is. And I wanted to go back to, you mentioned the cheek pieces. What's the difference on a horse from like the cheek pieces versus the blinkers? Isn't it a similar idea?
Totally. They kind of mimic a shortcut cheater blinker. It's just you're kind of getting away with not putting something over a horse's head. Sometimes you put them on horses that maybe don't like things going over their poll, the top, which is the top of their head. And sometimes you're looking for something maybe just even a little less than a shortcut cheater blinker. They're going to provide maybe a little bit more, up and down type of coverage than that cup would on a blinker. But yeah, she's run with them before, so it's nothing new. As they are heading in line, and JK, we do see Christian Torres over there at Sunland. He's on Pashmina. He's there to presumably ride Brooklyn coming up in the Sunland Derby.
When it's Triple Crown season, these riders will travel. If horse takes me to starting gate of Derby or Oaks, I will fly there.
Right. Have horse will travel if it gets me to Churchill on the first Saturday in May. As they take their way into line, as we do see 1-2 on the comeback. Bottle of Rouge. Will she give Bob Baffert his 9th win in the Sunland Oaks? We'll have to find out as we send it out to track announcer at Sunland, Eric Alwyn, for the call.
8-1. Here comes Coffee Connection in the pink silks. They're all set. And they're off and running in the Sunland Park Oaks. What a start for Coffee Connection. Wastes no time and is going to cross and clear with ease into the first quarter mile. Cashed is second. There's the favorite, Bottle of Rouge, who's super amped up in a close-up third. Then in fourth, Not a Lady bides her time, 2 to the good of Pashmina. At the back of affairs, Touch of Magic, and whipping them all in about 8 lengths astern is in the aggregate. It is a fast pace set up front by Cash. Cash now takes over, wrangled back a bit to save some energy as Coffee Connection, the big favorite, lopped along her side. That's Bottle of Rouge third. Coming now into fourth is Not a Lady, about a half length better than Pashmina, who's closing in on that top 3. She's 5 in front from Touch of Magic and still trailing in the aggregate. A half mile to go in the Sunland Park Oaks, and it's a real pace. Set by Cash, leads by diminishing 1 length. Coffee Connection and Bottle of Rouge. Pashmina also on the attack. It's a tough race as they go into the turn, and the favorite means business. Bottle of Rouge now begins to take control, leads by about a head. All in second, Cash. In third, trying to fight back a bit. That is Pashmina. Here comes Coffee Connection. Re-energized on the far side now, making a big move. Alongside her is Touch of Magic. Can Bottle of Rouge hang on? Bottle of Rouge may be in trouble. Coming on fast now is going to be Pashmina and Touch of Magic. Touch of Magic closing in. Bottle of Rouge digging in. Too much class. Bottle of Rouge up to the task. Fended them all off. Took many challenges and won it over Touch of Magic. Third was Pashmina at distant fourth. Coffee Connection.
Well, the favorite prevails here, JK, but we're going to see right here, she's going to swerve out dramatically, affecting the run of Pashmina.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely slowed down her momentum. Without the benefit of a head-on, it's hard to tell how much. But if you watch enough races from the pan, she shifted over pretty significantly. It's just not sure if she was clear at that point or not, but she definitely did affect the horse to her inside. And I would imagine they'll take a peek.
One would hope. Isn't that right, Meg?
I would have to think so. That was a pretty dramatic move, shifting ground to the outside by Bottle of Rouge, and it appeared to me that it really thwarted Pashmina's momentum. Now, it's an odd place that you're in as a jockey. You're right at a point on heels, and if you catch that horse's heels right there, almost looked like her inside hoof went in between the fours, a Bottle of Rouge's legs. If you catch that heel there, it's like not knowing there's a staircase coming in the dark and you step off of it and it's a hard way down. Again, we don't have a head on yet, but boy, from the pan shot, it looked like a very dramatic move. And a little bit of being guided out there, not just from the crop. The rider really, Hernandez, kind of steered her towards that direction. I'd be shocked if there's not at least an inquiry here.
Meg, ask and you shall receive, as on the track feed we are seeing that there is an inquiry posted at Sunland for this Sunland Park Oaks. And I agree with what Meg said. Juan Hernandez, you know, she took maybe a few strides to switch her leads, but she did, and then he still opened his outside rein and guided her over. So it looks pretty bad and somewhat intentional.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of times with these horses, you want to bring out the competitiveness in them by bringing them closer to another horse. Sometimes if they're far away, I think some of the riders would tell you, I wouldn't know because I've never sat on one of their backs, that maybe the competitiveness can get lost a little bit the further they are away, but as they get closer, you can kind of re-engage them, and it seems as maybe he was attempting to do that, or maybe he was attempting to intimidate. I can't get in his head, but it certainly looked like there's something there.
Meg, as we take a look here at the head-on for the first time, tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, you can see, like you said, Maggie, switch leads, but man, he guided her out. I mean, he turned her head. It was about a path too much in my estimation, and I think it cost Pashmina. She had some momentum at that time, and it allowed the outside runner to kind of catch up to her, and then she's in an awkward spot between. Yeah, you know, race riding's supposed to be subtle, and where I lose patience with what is perceived as race riding is these dramatic moves. The wire's in front of you. There's a bag of money laying at the finish line. I want to get to that bag of money before anybody. You got to go forward, not sideways. I really didn't like this ride. I thought it was poor judgment.
Yeah, too. It was also just the speed in which he did it. You know, it didn't give Christian Torres aboard Pashmina any time to even react. It was so dramatic and quick, Meg.
Well, that's it. You know, just how dramatic it was. And again, to Jonathan's point, yes, you want to float out. You want your horse to engage. You want them to feel the challenge and hopefully meet the challenge. This was far beyond that. Race riding is an art. This wasn't an art. This was just sloppy to me.
Yeah, we'll see, as we do see also an objection now lodged, presumably by Christian Torres, against rider Juan Hernandez aboard your favorite bottle of Rouge. Pashmina, she would settle for third in here. There is the opportunity for her to move to second. That would mean number 5, Touch of Magic, will break her maiden in quite a dramatic fashion.
Well, here's the thing, too, to keep in mind. You know, we see inquiries all the time here at Aqueduct and Saratoga and Belmont when we get back there, but this has got Kentucky Oaks points on the line. So this is not just, oh, you didn't win the purse today.
Yep.
This is, you're up against it in terms of points for getting into the Kentucky Oaks. So it's, you know, and like Richie said for Pashmina, like she didn't even get a chance. She didn't even get a chance to continue her run because of what happened. Now she's going to be third, potentially second. There's a lot of shaking up that could happen in terms of the points that are involved here too.
Well, and the points breakdown: 20 to the winner, 10 to second, 6 to third, 4 to fourth, and 2 to fifth. So, you know, that's a big discrepancy, especially between first and third in here. So that could knock, you know, Bottle of Rouge, if they decide to take her down here, well off the trail.
No, certainly. And you know, you show up in a spot like this too, if you're Bob Baffert, and you're these other connections, is to try to pick up some points that you might think might be a little bit easier than the points you might find at a place like Santa Anita or a place like Oaklawn Park. You'd like to think that it'd be a little bit easier, so it's an important part of the journey for them.
Not sure why Touch of Magic is now highlighted. I wouldn't know. She was out in the clear. I guess maybe just to highlight the fact that she would be changing positions or, you know, order of finish. She would be involved in that, as she would be elevated to first here, because it's not like you can put 7 suddenly on top. So we'll see. This would be, if they left it as is, Bob Baffert's 9th win in the Sunland Oaks. It would be Steve Asmussen's 4th win if they decide to change the order of finish here, Meg. Any kind of further thoughts on what they should or may do here?
Well, you know, listen, we don't know how this jurisdiction adjudicates these things. You know, every place is a little bit different as long as they're consistent with what they normally do. But that aside, I just don't understand why you would want to shift a horse's body weight around that dramatically. They're 1,000-pound animals. This is how horses get injured. You don't want them to torque an ankle, shifting all their weight, throwing all their weight back onto one thing. And watch when he steers her out. And this was deliberate. He steers her out. Watch her head in the head on, how he turns her out to the outside, breaks his rein from the outside, and pulls her out. Yeah, how much weight and torque that put on her right ankle? That's just poor horsemanship. I really, if I was a trainer, I would be furious, win or lose, that you would do that to my horse. You got to respect your dance partner. These horses give us everything, and you're just not respecting the horse in that instance.
100%. I mean, you think of a horse as, on average, a thoroughbred, 1,000 pounds. Well, 800 to 900 of that is above their legs. Their legs are so small relative to the rest of their body, and to throw one's weight around like that, it really can affect the way that they come down on those joints. So I totally heed what Mig was saying. It's a bad look on so many levels to do that.
Yeah, I'll leave that to you guys who sat on their backs. And certainly, I'm going to side with whoever has the horse's best interest in mind. It's also it's dangerous for the fellow riders as well.
Exactly. He could have dropped, and like Mig said, when it's not you're almost safer if, let's say, the hip of Bottle of Rouge went into the chest of Pashmina. When they're that bit apart, it's when they clip. It's when they get tripped. So, yeah, you're putting Christian Torres in a precarious position as well, a dangerous one at that. We'll see what they opt to do here. They are taking a while. I mean, if history serves us correctly, the longer they take, the more likely there is a change to be made. Yeah,
it's funny. I've always felt that way, but it's also the longer they go, the more that there's potentially disagreement between the stewards that is holding them up.
It's not a dictatorship in there. It has to be a democracy at the end of the day, as there are generally 3 stewards in the booth, and you have to get at least 2 of them to make the change. So still unofficially, it is posted there, 4, 5, 7, 8 on the board. If there is a change, it would likely be 5, 7, 4, 8, and a big difference when it comes to Kentucky Oaks points, as we are going to check out horses on the track here at Oaklawn for their 9th race. It is the race that will close it out there in Hot Springs. They will have racing tomorrow for President's Day, a maiden 20 Arkansas bred, and we do see scratches of the 2 inside horses, and favoritism currently 5-2 on number Sweet Lexus for Tom Vance, looking to build upon that effort in her second. Wow, no change at Sunland. I'm shocked.
Whoa, okay, well, no change.
All right. I'm sure Mig will have some comments on that. At least I hope he does. As Juan Hernandez for Bob Baffert gives Bob his 9th win in the Sunland Oaks. Oaklawn Park, post parade. We're up to horse, your favorite, Sweet Lexus. She's gone by. Number 7, Shirley the One. Probably not the one.
You stole exactly
what
I was going to say.
Sorry.
Well, I wasn't playing. It just what came to mind.
Number 8 is Inuit.
Yeah, horse has never taken any money and hasn't done much running either.
Number 9, My Sweet Angel, of a long layoff.
Yeah, long layoff. The race 2 back showed a little bit of sign, but I don't trust this one.
I like this name, Meritude.
Meritude.
Play off a mare with attitude.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
that is good.
Yeah. Number 11.
Completely missed that.
Back 9 went by number 12, Mazarn.
Yeah, drawn to the outside. Doesn't have enough early speed, in my opinion, to be able to negate that draw.
And rounding out the field, getting in off the AEs is number 14, Best of Max.
Yeah, it was a long shot last time for maiden special weight, and it's possible that getting in here for a tag might help.
That will do it for your field here at the Oaklawn Park. It's the nightcap. Stay tuned. We'll have that race and more coming up on America's Day at the Races.
$1,600,000. $1,600,000 in the day. $1,600,000 bid now $650. $1,650. $1,650,000. Anybody else want $650,000 in the day? $1,650,000. $1,600,000. Thank you.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
A warrior from the start.
Dornock is coming back. Dornock in the Remsen.
What separates the best isn't just talent, it's meeting the moment. Look your rival in the eye and say, not today.
It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stakes.
And Dornock stubborn. Dornock wins the Haskell.
A world-class athlete made for the fight. That's Dornock.
It's America's original sport. And no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. We've got the finale, the 9th race on the track here at Oaklawn Park. Still a little surprised by the no change at Sunland Park. We'll get back to that, Megan. This is a handicapping conundrum.
It sure is. Arkansas bred maidens in for that $20,000 tag. Anything goes. Chaos can ensue. And I am on set today, but not in the paddock. Usually the paddock can be quite the chaotic place to be in these types of races.
Yeah, we were watching the horses warm up, and a horse that's a big price here, the 4 at 15-1, Roots Tootin', made a really nice impression on the track. Robert Klein, the trainer, has this horse looking outstanding, and he is the owner, breeder, and trainer.
Yeah, it really did make a nice impression. Moving well. Shiny, pretty, resplendent coat on this daughter of Deliver the Storm. Again, bred by her trainer, owned by her trainer, and his partner, Kelsey Haar, taking them out. And she was in a pretty decent maiden 20, I would say, for the level last time out, where she showed a bit more run. And she's taken a step forward from kind of the bottom tired performance that she gave at Canterbury all the way back in September. So she could certainly take another step forward. And hey, anything goes in these races. Look for those blankets to cover, especially anchoring the last legs of some of these sequences.
Well, if you like a long shot in a race like this, don't shy away, because we've seen at times chaos ensue. When a horse looks good like that, maybe they run to those looks. Where did you ultimately land here, as tough as this is?
It's tough. I have no disagreements with the favorite right now in the number 6, Sweet Lexus, who I will include for the Tommy Vance barn. Back in with State Breds after being in for Open 30 last time out, where there was 2 next out maiden winners from that group, including Can't Deal With It. And I disagree with the traffic short comment. Showed good speed last time out, was in the pocket. I didn't see any traffic. She had a perfect trip, saving ground on the inside, and just didn't quite have enough late with Joe Belmere aboard. Gets the call right back again. And I mean, both of those winners improved their Beyer speed figures that came out of that race. It's very encouraging to see, especially with these cheaper horses. And I'm interested to see if she'll take another step forward.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit surprised at those comments, traffic. If you're on the parkway and a car passes you and then changes lanes, you don't have traffic. It's when you run up behind a car and have no place to go, you have traffic. So I agree with you. I didn't really see traffic for this, but I thought that was a step forward. I like Joey Belmere a lot. Really nice young man. Was kind of getting off the mark here last year when he was injured. Actually rode with his dad, who's a veterinarian now. So I'd like to see Joey kind of get off the mark, start getting some winners.
He's great. He's got like $1 million smile. He's just a bubbly guy that you just is so fun to be around in the mornings. But the horse I ultimately landed on was the number 3 at Paris Accord for the Ernie Whitt barn. And I will say this, Ernie Witt's horses, I always, coming off of the layoff as this horse did last time out, have looked a touch overdone as far as their condition, wanting to see them get that race into their belt. And this horse did, and didn't run terribly at all. Third place finish, showing some speed, tracked off between horses and angled out, and honestly ran pretty well considering the level. Trying yet again for the 8th time in this one, and making a very nice impression on track. I think this this 5-year-old mare now is better for her last performance and does have an experience edge. A lot of the times, it's what it takes with these types of horses.
Yeah, absolutely. A horse that has less experience making her 4th start, the 5 Charm It. Do you think this is the main speed here?
Very well could be. I think that the 6 directly to her outside will be forwardly placed with some speed. I think they're pretty even, but just as far as we'll see what Alfredo Triano Jr. does with that speed directly to his inside. But another one coming out of a 6 furlong State Bred Maiden 20, where again faded. Didn't quite like the group that day, as opposed to maybe taking a horse like Sweet Lexus. But hey, as we mentioned earlier, anything goes. But quickly, the number 8 for John Ortiz. Inuit. Am I saying that right, Richie?
Inuit, yeah.
Inuit.
Yep.
I thought this horse was game, running late on, class drop, big significant one, and gets Lasix for the first time.
An Arkansas bred for Short Leaf Stable of John Ed Anthony. They're all loading up into the gate. Let's go up for the final time today to Matt Dinnerman for the call of the finale.
Walking in, here's Mazarn and Best of Max to the outside post. Here's Best of Max coming up. Live racing resuming tomorrow. First post on President's Day, 12:30, 11 races tomorrow. We'll see you then. But for now, enjoy this nightcap. We're ready to go. And Sherriffs. Uneventful start. From the inside, Paris Accord was away alertly as a share of the lead in the early stages. Charm It is there. Sweet Lexus on the far outside. Even farther out, Best of Max easing off the pace. Roots Tootin' 5 lengths off the pace. Then Inuit and Mazarn, they're side by side. Gap of 2. My Sweet Angel. Surely the ones down on the inside. Meritude second to last. Back 9 is at the back as they go towards the far turn, where the pacemaker into the turn is Charm It. Charm It around the turn, flees from the pack, opens up 2.5 lengths. Roots Tootin' second, Paris Accord third. Sweet Lexus trying to come on the outside, 3 deep. Gap of 5, Inuit. My Sweet Angel is next in the group. Best of Max is plummeted back, calls it an afternoon. So is Mazarn. Surely the one is next as they come to the top of the stretch. Leader here, Charm It off the turn with a 2-length lead. Paris Accord in the second position is chasing. Charm It keeps going. Charm It switches leads, opens up 3 on Paris Accord, who's in the second spot. Sweet Lexus is third, but wobbling a bit. Coming to the 16th pole, Charm It and Tyler Bacon still clear, and it's going to be Charm It by 4 coming to the finish, well ahead for the Tim Martin stable. Paris Accord was second, good battle for third. Sweet Lexus in the photo with Roots Tootin', hard to tell. They were so far apart, hard to tell who won that photo in the finale here at Oaklawn today.
Speed is always dangerous. Charm It flashed that speed. Was a late rider change to Tyler Bacon, picking up his second win of the day. Made a comment the other day. Just felt like Tyler needed to gain a little confidence. 2 wins on the card. That'll bolster his confidence greatly.
Certainly will. I liked how aggressive he was with this horse, because I say this routinely when it comes to these cheaper horses. They don't like to pass horses late. They are not as, I wouldn't say equipped as perhaps a horse that really digs in and finds it, but this horse was just never getting beat. The number 3, Paris Accord, looked like maybe she was going to give a challenge, but just pulled away in the end. Number 5 at Charm It, coming off a well-beaten effort, and I kudos to the aggression, because that's really what worked for her in this race.
Yeah, horses, lower level horses tend to get discouraged a little bit easier when you're on the lead. Nothing there to discourage you. Let's head back to New York, guys, and clean up Sunland Park.
Thanks, Meg. Back at Sunland Park, it was Bottle of Rouge who survived the inquiry/objection to get the win here for, home team here when it comes to Bob Baffert, Natalie Baffert, the owner as well. And she comes back and makes her 3-year-old debut a winning one.
Yeah, she does. I mean, look, I do think she was probably best I think she was probably going to win anyways, even though Pashmina was making a little bit of a run at her. But, I think we'll elaborate on it a little bit more. It did feel like there was something there. There was some sort of interference, but the stewards didn't feel like there was, and there was no change.
Richie, is there any validation for this no change call? What could they have been seeing that maybe we weren't?
Well, again, I think every jurisdiction's a little bit different in how they adjudicate these things. So maybe this is consistent in how these stewards handle it. For me, I thought there was enough there to warrant a disqualification. Maybe they felt like that she was the best horse and it didn't alter the outcome. Again, I have a different opinion. I would say I'd be surprised if the stewards don't sanction Juan Hernandez, because watch right here. He steers her in that direction. This isn't a horse doing this. This is a rider doing this. And he put another rider in a kind of a precarious position. Thankfully, he didn't clip heels. You could injure your own horse doing it. But what I don't like, Megan, I think it breeds contempt among riders. Because if somebody does that to me and they don't get taken down, it means I can do it. So now you're creating a more dangerous atmosphere out there because I'm going to get looser. Why should I be a responsible rider? And think about hockey. You're not supposed to check a guy from behind into the boards. If you see his numbers, you got to pull up. A guy doesn't do that, and he doesn't get a penalty. Well, there's going to be a fight, isn't there? So I really think that stewards need to understand the culture of a jockey's room. Competitors are going back into the same room after a moment like that. Do you want guys having to clobber each other to make sure that a guy rides cleaner with them? I really thought this was a poor effort by Juan Hernandez. I don't know him, but I really didn't care for that ride.
We'll see in the Sunland Derby as Juan Hernandez gets aboard. One of the top choices in Express Kid, as does Christian Torres, who rode Pashmina in that race. He will climb aboard Brickland. So as far as that contempt is concerned, it happens in jocks' rooms everywhere. And I have the exact same frame of mind as Mig in this one. I think it did slow down the momentum of the number 7 Pashmina and altered course. I think it did put many in danger, and will obviously, as you mentioned, every jurisdiction has their way of doing things. Our opinions are our opinions, but certainly could have bred a pretty dangerous situation there late stretch.
And also, you're on a horse that has run. When she was allowed to run forward, right, get balanced out after that erratic movement caused by her rider, she actually leveled off. Her stride got better, and she finished. If he'd have just gone on and rode her straight, you're on good horses. Don't treat them like bumper cars.
I totally heed what you're saying, Meg, and could not agree more. But at the end, she is your official winner. She gets 20 points on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. We'll see if she can pull a 15-year later Plum Pretty.
Yeah, well, Plum Pretty won by 25 with no controversy.
Correct. As Meg pointed out, an astute observation there, as Christian Torres and Juan Hernandez aboard the 2 favorites for the upcoming Sunland Park Derby. 20 points on the line for the Kentucky Derby, as we will reflect and talk a little bit about the loss of a great horseman in John Sherriffs after the break.
John, I had no idea you were a Long Island man. What took you out to California?
You know, I went to California because I had dreamed of becoming a surfer. Yeah, actually I was on my way to Hawaii, but stayed in California.
John, I got to tell you, I'm not sure these cart talks would ever happen if it wasn't for two horses that you trained. When I give my origin story about how I got into racing, it always starts in 2005 with Giacomo.
You know, I've never watched that race.
Really?
No, no, that is one of those special memories. I just want to remember it. I don't want to watch it.
What are those silks? What do those mean to you?
That's my career, right? Those silks are my career. I always say to people when they ask me about it, especially about Zenyatta, is that for me that was a Camelot, right? That was just, everything was perfect.
I always loved showing my Zenyatta tattoo. It was one of the first that I got. She was one of the most magnificent beings that I can ever remember laying eyes on. I think that her Apple Blossom and her unfortunate defeat in the Classic were her two best races, and I don't think it was even close.
Right, right, yeah, I agree.
Well, let's talk about her Breeders' Cup Classic, the first one. Well, not the first one, not the Ladies Classic, but the first Classic.
Right.
Did you feel during the race, when you were standing in your spot on the apron, that she was going to win? And at what point did you realize that she was?
When she broke out of the gate, she always broke up on the gate on the wrong lead. So you had to wait until she would shift over to her right lead and get in her rhythm. Once she got in her rhythm and she got comfortable in the race, then you thought, okay, that we have a chance, right? But to see her come charging down the outside like that, it was a very, very exciting moment.
We got to talk a little bit about her last race, the Classic on the dirt.
Like I said, coming out of the gate, it took her a few strides to switch over to right leading and get going. So it just seemed like she never got engaged in the race for almost a quarter of a mile. The way she ran that night, I thought was magnificent, and what a heart, and what she did at the end of the race. I don't know how she finished second in that race, to tell you the truth.
I wanted to know what you felt about this, and if I can get your reaction, I would appreciate it.
It hurts more than I can explain. Just because it was my fault. She should have won, it ain't hers.
Did you feel like it was his fault?
No. What a guy Mike Smith is. I mean, that's kind of emotional for me too, right? Because Mike is my man.
Well, John, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for all 20 of her races, because there's no way that I would be here if it wasn't for the journey that she took me on to enjoy this sport as much as I do.
Let me out of here.
Wow. JK, for you in that moment, being able to sit there on the cart with John Sherriffs, you know, the trainer of the horse that really, you know, got you just ensconced in this game. How special was that this summer?
You know, sadly, it's more special today than it was then.
Absolutely.
And I think that in the moment when it happened, it was an opportunity that I think we as a team, we just kind of jumped on in order, like, you know, because we don't see John in New York very much. And so to have him there, it's like, oh, I want to do Cart Dog with John. And so I think even that week we recorded 2 of them, and we didn't even use that one until later. We don't usually do that, just one. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's always a horse for everyone that they absolutely fall in love with that brings them to this game, and it just so happens that he was the steward of that horse for me. And a couple of them, right? Giacomo was my first win bet when I was in college that I bought 3 handicapping books with.
Right.
So to be able to sit down with him and talk to him and to see that reaction out of him that was not, I didn't know that he had never seen the Mike Smith interview. He had said he had never seen it, so that was a real reaction for him seeing something for the first time. But yeah, it was sad news, obviously, with his passing, and and he's one of those guys I've never heard anyone say anything bad about.
Ever. And it was, you know, of course, we're devastated to not have him with us anymore, but he was such a kind, peaceful human being, and the way that we lost him seems fitting. You know, just peacefully. And we'll miss John. I mean, he was always so welcoming, so warm. I remember that summer that he had horses stabled in Saratoga, and I had the opportunity to get to know him a bit more. And just a total outside the box type of horseman, Meg.
Just fantastic. I'm still choked up from watching that. Thoughtful, kind, great horseman. A lot of people don't know. Combat veteran of Vietnam. He was a Marine, Semper Fi. My best friend, David Figueroa, was his assistant here in New York when he came. The conversations about horses I'll cherish forever. He would send me books about the history of our game. He had a vast library of really great, rare books, and I would read them, mail them back, and we'd have great conversations about it. He is somebody that it's a huge loss for the game, huger loss for everybody that knew him personally, because he touched lives, Megan, in the most positive ways.
He really did. Got me choked up on that one. Whew, I was weepy there for a second. JK, guys, oh my goodness. But you know, I met him for the first time covering the Kentucky Derby with Beza coming in, and the kindest person. I was kind of almost really nervous to meet him because it was one of those, I mean, Zenyatta was a horse that I think made a lot of people fall in love with the game. And I remember him telling me stories about her, and just he immediately, I feel like he doesn't meet a stranger. He's such an open, kind-hearted person. So just, we will miss him. And I just, it's really rare and special to meet those kind of people.
You know, guys, we showed the Breeders' Cup Classic that she won at Santa Anita, and I had been in front on Regal Ransom for Godolphin. And my horse, you know, I was all in at the quarter pole, pretty much done, and I started backing up, and I'm anticipating seeing her. Where is she? Where is she? And then I caught this blur on my outside, and I actually became a fan again in the middle of a Breeders' Cup Classic. I was 6th or 7th at the time backing up. I stopped riding, and I just watched the race in awe from there. That's the kind of presence that Zenyatta had, and I don't think anybody would have got as much out of Zenyatta, as great as she was, than John Sherriffs.
Absolutely. A horseman that, you know, really put the horse first in so many ways. And Zenyatta, I mean, she is just one of those mares that will go down in history as one of the greats.
No, absolutely. And then, you know, I also think that it's pretty awesome and poetic that we got to experience last year of a lot of John Sherriffs.
Exactly.
With Baeza, right?
Yep.
It's like, and not to say that he had kind of moved away from the main screen, but you know, he hadn't had a big horse in a while like that. And to last year to be able to have a bunch of John Sherriffs, I think I'm very grateful for that as well.
We all are in retrospect. And you know, I remember after the PA Derby, he was just so happy for the horse, and that was truly who John Sherriffs was. Oh well, we do owe you a race from Sunland Park. It is the Harry Hansen going a mile. Here it is on tape delay. Eric Alwyn.
And we're just about set for a start for the Harry Hansen Stakes at a flat mile. And there they go. Good start for 1,000 miles. Uses the rail draw to her advantage. She leads Eye Candy by about a half. Lapped along her is Wild About Hillary, very wide on the scene. Practical Dream 4th. Then 3 back to Looking for Bargains. At the back of affairs are Corinna, where she likes it at this point. She's a half in front from Glory IB. It's a controlled tempo set by 1,000 Dreams. 1,000 miles now leads by about a half. Lapping up beside her with a good-looking run. That is Wild About Hillary. Wild About Hillary, the Oaklawn Park horse, looks good so far, leading by a half. She's besieged by Practical Dream and 1,000 miles third. In 4th with about 5 to gain is going to be Eye Candy. Lapped on that one is Looking for Bargains. Then we have Corinna heating up a bit with 5 to gain. And at the back of the pack is Glory IB. They're coming for home now in the Harry Hansen. And the leader remains Wild About Hillary. That one leads by a short head. Practical Dream took a shot at that one. Then 1,000 Miles is going to have to find more. Looking for room along the inside. An auspicious run from Eye Candy. And also rolling, looking for bargains. They're into the top of the stretch. The leader, Wild About Hillary, leading by about a head. Practical Dream taking it to her. Also, here comes Eye Candy. A fresh challenge from Eye Candy along the inside. Christian Ramos could not be riding any better. Wow, she's gone. It's going to be Eye Candy to win the second straight stakes of the meet. Third of the day for Todd Fincher. Eye Candy crushes them. Corinna got rolling late for second, then third. Practical Dream. Fourth, 1,000 Miles.
Eye Candy, cleverly named daughter of Candy Ride, gets the win here for Todd Fincher. And what a ride by Christian Ramos.
Yeah, absolutely. He came up the inside, and while the rest of them were scrubbing away on the outside, and handled the stretch out with no problem. Had run a little bit longer prior, but he really seemed to have gotten in the right form in his last few starts, going 5.5, 6.5, and 6. Shows up here in the mile and appreciated the added distance.
Yeah, she responded beautifully in clearing off with that dream run up the rail. Eye Candy takes Harry Hansen on America's Day at the Races.
Bright future indeed. Bright future, the son of Curlin to win by 4. Bright future, Proxy, here's the line. Photo finish, Bright future.
Bright future, look at that. Bright future, the class prevails.
Bright future, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions. And hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
And it's lights out. Locked. Pouring it on. Running aggressively through the stretch to win by 7 easy lengths.
Here is Locked. Locked racing by on the outside for the lead. Locked, the wine steward. It is Locked.
Here comes Locked after Mulligan. Locked catching with every single stride, and Locked will win the Cigar Mile.
It's all about Locked, dominating the big cap, cruising home to an effortless 8-length romp.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. We are proudly brought to you by Hillendale Farm at Alapa, as we've had live coverage from Aqueduct, Sunland Park, and of course, Oaklawn Park as the nightcap. It did go to number 5, Charm It, as Tyler Bacon was in the irons for trainer Timothy Martin and returns $13 at 5-1 over the 3 Paris Accord, the favorite at 3-2, Sweet Lexus, settling for third.
Yeah, it's funny when you look at Charmit's past performance. It was 48-1 last time.
I was gonna say, what?
And to show up here and be 5.5-1. And to win. A lot of times it's just these horses have to get where they can win, get with their friends a little bit, and clearly Charm It has not been facing his friends until today.
Yeah, reflective of what else was in the field as we see Eye Candy make her way into the winner's circle as she does take down the Harry Henson Stakes, and stretching back out in distance for one of the perennial leading trainers there at Sunland Park, Todd Fincher. Christian Ramos in the irons for Peacock Family Racing. She got the win over Corinna and Practical Dream, so 6-2, 6-5. 4 in the 8th from Sunland Park. Ewing made quite the impression up at Saratoga last year. He's back on the scene for the White Hot Mark Cassie barn. We'll preview the Ozark Stakes coming up next.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races as the sun's setting behind the grandstand here at Oaklawn Park. We still got one more to go, and that's the Sunland Park Derby, but we got something to really look forward to tomorrow, Megan, and the return of Ewing, who is 2 for 2 as a 2-year-old coming back in the Ozark Stakes, and this is a horse that you've been out in the mornings keeping a close eye on.
I was just so impressed with the way he's really progressed from 2 to 3. As you know, Maggie mentioned this earlier on this week about him, just even his demeanor on track, being more mature and having a bit more collected disposition and just being more on target. That's exactly what I've seen from him in the mornings. I think he's grown in his condition and just physically taking that step forward. And you'll see him right here, a very nice foe in the likes of Obliteration, who came back to win to win here at Oaklawn Park with the 90 Beyer speed figure. But we saw him run an absolutely solid game performance in the Saudi Derby this weekend. So nice to see horses coming back that he's beat do well. And he just looks like he's sitting on go. I mean, the Cassie barn is rolling. They have won every stake so far that they have entered at Oaklawn Park. 8 total. It's just madness.
It's incredible. The horses are running good. They look good. And to give it a little proper context, right? Obliteration was incredibly courageous in game yesterday in the Saudi Derby, going a mile. Dirty Rich, earlier in the meet, at the very beginning of the meet, won the Advent, came back, was beaten 10 lengths by Obliteration, and he's in this race. And Ewing handled Obliteration in his second start with less experience. I think that we're going to see something special. I like it's a great jumping off point. He's drawn towards the outside, so he shouldn't be under any intense pressure from the outside. I'm really looking forward to seeing the version of Ewing as a 3-year-old, and he's by Nick's Go, Patrick Ewing, the Hoya Destroyer. Come on, guys. This is fun, and I love when these horses are named for other celebrities or sporting stars, because I like the crossover. I think it gains some traction with people that maybe don't follow our game every day.
It's interesting. Ewing was actually supposed to return to us earlier. He, I believe, had a bit of a setback, and the original plan was to sprint him and then perhaps even target a race like the Rebel. Obviously, times have changed. Plans have moved around a bit, so we'll see him sprinting here. And I'm very interested to see if he remains doing so. He's proven to be very talented. He doesn't have a modicum of pedigree on the bottom side that would support that he's specifically a router or a sprinter. Nick's Go has kind of thrown a mixture bag, you know, a Breeders' Cup Classic winner. You would think route, but I'm really interested to see if this is a stepping off point and where the trajectory of his 3-year-old campaign will ultimately lead us.
Well, it's fun. It's one thing we see, a lot of horses returning, and future stars are always something we look forward to, guys. What do you think about Ewing? And I know you're a pretty big basketball fan, right, Jonathan?
He's got it on right now.
Well, you're gonna just
That's how big
you're obviously gonna see what's going on. You know, I gotta know what's going on. I love that. I love sports. Sports are sports. I will say this about Ewing, though. His debut was sensational.
Yeah.
And he ran so well, and then he came back on the Saratoga Special and ran well, but that figure was a lot slower, and no one's run one out of that race. So the question was how good all those races were.
Obliteration has been good.
Been good, but no one's won out of it.
But Obliteration did win subsequently thereafter.
Yes, didn't win. I'm sorry, didn't win
right
after. Didn't win after that race. Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm on the positive end of the spectrum when it comes to Ewing coming back here. I know Mark Casse, as Meg was talking about, wanted to get him back earlier. There's been, several minor injuries and issues with this horse getting back to the track. But I thought something interesting he said was, I'm not sure if this horse is ready to be turned off, to switch off, to therefore be able to run a route of ground. So I think this is a perfect spot for him to get back to the races.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many great grade ones around one turn.
Absolutely.
It doesn't, I know the Kentucky Derby is a Kentucky Derby.
Woody Stevens.
But there's nothing wrong with the Pat Day Mile, the Woody Stevens, the Alan Jerkins, and then going on to be potentially in the sprint, right?
100%.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Love it.
Especially when you try to force a horse that doesn't want to run in the Derby to do so. It can sometimes change the trajectory of their career.
It's just insane what the Casse barn has done in the last 3 months, too. As Meg said, won every stake that they've had a horse in. Took the two stakes races at Tampa Bay yesterday. But, wow. We'll also talk a little bit about another horse well on his way to the Kentucky Derby. That is Paladin. He took down the Risen Star yesterday and remained undefeated. Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. We are bringing you some bonus coverage from the Sunland Derby out there at Sunland Park. And this race offering 20 points to the winner for this year's Kentucky Derby, as we have a prohibitive favorite. Wow. 1-5 on Express Kid. They spent $800,000 in buying this horse on a Fasig-Tipton digital sale.
He ran fast in the Remington and the Springboard, and he got loose in there, but 1-5 is outlandish.
He was flattered by Arctic Beast coming back and winning against New York Breds yesterday. As number 3 is Pavlovian. Doug O'Neill looking for his 4th win in this race.
Yeah, he didn't break well last time and still ran well enough to be 3rd. We'll need to break a little bit better here. Puts blinkers on.
Stretching out for Albertino Diodoro is number 4, 40-20.
Yeah, the stretch out's the key here, but the horse does have a little bit of speed. He won by 12 last time. Let's see if he can handle the stretch out.
Here is the Oaklawn Park Invader Bricklin. He won quite nicely last time out.
Yeah, this is who I'm going to land on. He's also was wire to wire, but I thought he did it with a little bit more challenges than the favorite.
As number 7 is Danny Coe.
Yeah, came from way out of it to get up last time. I just don't love closers in dirt races unless it looks like it's going to fall apart.
A little hot on the track is a maiden looking for his first win. Buntis Folklora for Amelia Green.
Yeah, ships in to see if they can get in the mix for the Kentucky Derby for Amelia Green. One that's right there on the outside looking in terms of numbers, but I wouldn't be shocked if this one takes a step forward.
Donegal Racing always looking for Derby starters, as that is your field for the Sunland Park Derby. More coverage coming up next on America's Day at the Races.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse on the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished 3rd.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country.
His name is Cyberknife!
Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. And if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
The Belmont Stakes Racing Festival returns for the final time to historic Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss the Belmont Festival at Saratoga. June 3rd through 7th. Secure your place in history at BelmontStakes.com.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. I'm Richard Migliori with Megan Burgess, and not too many minutes to post here for the Sunland Derby. And who do you like here?
I'm going with the Oaklawn Transport, the number 6 Bricklin for the Rudy Brisset barn, who is well placed with this horse, son of Nyquist, who I think is going to appreciate stretching back out in distance as he gets to the 1 1/16 off of a mile. Really impressive performance last time out here, first off of the time away, and it's just been a forward-moving type. I think 1-2 on Express Kid, Mick, to me, is quite a short price to swallow.
Yeah, it feels like it might be a bit short. I mean, he's coming off of a big effort last time at Remington Park. He gets Juan Hernandez, who did win the Oaks, albeit controversially. Bricklin, very impressive last time. You've also got Danico, the Riley Allison Derby winner, which is usually the prep for the Sunland Derby. He already sports that win around 2 turns at Sunland. And we have Ewing tomorrow, named for Patrick Ewing. Ken Danico is a terrific hockey player, now a hockey broadcaster, so another horse named for an athlete. It's been fun, Megan. We've had a full day here between Oaklawn, now Sunland. We're going to say goodbye. We're going to send it to our crew up in New York, and this has been a good time.
It's been a great time. It's always a good time with you, Meg. I do miss Maggie, though, and my girls in New York, but I love every single day I get to spend with the Meg. Well, guys, been a fun day. We're going to leave it to you to clean up the rest of this, and who do you like in the Sunland Derby?
Well, Meg, excellent work as always. I'll get to see you guys in 2 weeks, a little less than that. Looking forward to heading out and covering the Rebel. But it's all about the Sunland Park Derby right now, JK. So did you have your eyes on anybody in particular here? You did say Bricklin.
Yeah, Bricklin for me. I mean, if you look at the 2 horses that project to make the lead, or the 3 horses, the 420 obviously is one that is 40-20, excuse me.
Does the 40-20 clear here?
Well, sometimes, look,
yeah.
with the stretch out speed, there's the opportunity for that one to do so. But I also think sometimes when horses stretch out, they have this idea of like, oh, well, are we going to appreciate the distance? Let's try to rate a little bit here. Let's try to save some. And I think sometimes that's the wrong way to go about it, but we'll see. Express Kid, though, I thought got a real easy lead last time in that 2-year-old race in December. I just feel like being drawn to the outside of both of those horses, Bricklin's going to have opportunities to look to see what they're doing. And the one issue I have with Bricklin is the first 3 races of the career were just all very, very slow and not that exciting. But I do think maybe it's the addition of Lasix when the horse turned 3 that might have made the difference. Now there's Lasix off again, so that's a little bit of a concern, but or maybe it was the distance that woke him up. I don't know. I'm a little unsure if we're going to get a repeat performance out of Bricklin, but he's definitely a better price than the horse to the inside.
Well, to be fair and to bolster your case, a lot of times we just naturally see horses get faster. Now, it was a precipitous jump up in figures when it comes to Bricklin. And last time, I will say this, he had the inside draw, he kind of bounced out of the gate, and he assumed the lead quite comfortably, quite easily. And then when he got into the stretch, and it was probably for a lack of company, he kind of got to swapping his leads back and forth, maybe losing a little bit of focus. So maybe he's actually better with a target, with a horse to, concentrate on and to run down. So we'll see what Bricklin does. Christian Torres in to ride this colt by Nyquist. And the favorite, Express Kid, Connections obviously really wanted him. Brad and Sharon Clevin of Paradise Equine Farm. They went for the $800,000 and they said, look, they hope to win this race here, and it is off to the Arkansas Derby.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's they spent $800. You win here. What are we looking at? 300-ish. Is that good math? I don't know the
Better
exact.
than anything I would be able to do, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know what the winner share is there. And then you show up in a race at the Arkansas Derby and get involved, and people want to be in the Kentucky Derby. They want to be involved, and sometimes they might pay a little bit more than it seems like they should for that opportunity, that experience, that ride, and you can't knock them for it.
Express Kid will likely have some pace, you would have to think, from that inside post position. And look, I mean, he had enough speed to clear from the outside post last time out.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I think intent's going to have a lot to do with it, with speed to the inside, speed in the middle, and speed towards the outside to see who goes where. I think the person or the horse to watch to make the biggest difference is going to be the 4-40-20 if they decide to be aggressive or if they're concerned about the distance and decide to try to rate.
Let's not forget, Bunce's Folklore has a little bit of speed too.
Certainly.
I mean, he was cutting back last time, but in his longer one-turn mile races, he's been up on the engine. So they head into line for this Sunland Park Derby. 4-5 on Express Kid off the quick sale of $800,000. Makes his first start for Justin Evans. We send it out to Eric Alwyn for your call.
Running in the Sunland Derby. Good start for Express Kid. Came away from the gates with the lead. Gonna be hounded by Pavlovian. Then in third, 40-20, inject some space. Hung out about 4 wide is gonna be Bricklin. We'll see if that costs him a bit. He's 5 in front from Bontas for Clora, and at the back as usual is Danico, who's hoping for a fast early pace. So far, so good for Express Kid. Made it through the first quarter mile, leads by a length under a hold. Second is Pavlovian. Injecting some pace in the race, Bricklin's now third. Backing off a bit in fourth, 40-20, who's 2 lengths in front of Buntos for Clora, and still trailing the compact group by about 6 lengths is Danico. All the jockeys appear to be happy with their positions, especially Express Kid and Juan Hernandez. They lead by 1 over Pavlonian, who's still giving chase. Bricklin is in tow third with just 2 to gain. That one 4 in front from 40-20, who's in mid-division. Then we have Danico, and losing touch is Buntas for Clora. The real running now begins with about 3 furlongs left. Express Kid yet to be headed. Leads by a half. Pavlovian still the closest to him in second. Bricklin amping up a good run, going 3 wide. Then it's 7 lengths back to Danico, who might be heard from late. They've got a quarter mile to go in the Sunland Derby. Express Kid under siege, but he is fighting back. It's Express Kid, took the turn well. He's put away Pavlovian for the moment. There's Bricklin stalled in third. Pavlovian coming. Pavlovian trying to get on even terms with Express Kid in the final 50 yards. Express Kid all hard. Express Kid might have delivered. That was close. Almost as close as last year's running of the Sunland Derby. Pavlovian made him work for it. A distant third. Bricklin. Danico was a non-threatening fourth.
I think that's pretty close, JK. Pavlovian would not give in, neither would Express Kid. It got very tight towards the wire. I'll wait and see the photo.
Yeah, it was a brave call from the track announcer. I mean, look, he watches races there all the time, so he knows the angles.
Yeah.
We'll know more here in a couple of seconds. I don't know. I think that's outside.
I could not. The 3, Pavlovian definitely had his head down. What appeared to be at the wire. They're showing Express Kid. I don't know. Like you said, we don't watch racing there frequently.
If I'm just saying this, if I bet the 3, I would be very hopeful. If I bet the 1, I would be very nervous.
Correct.
That's just how I feel about what
1000%.
happened in that photo. I could be wrong. No, it could go the other way, but I thought the 3 got the bob. It's more about where the wire is, obviously.
And it's not that definitive when you're looking for the wire. You know, you kind of have the checkered marks, if you will, approaching, and then it just kind of ends. You know, there's no, like, lead up. I don't know. Are we kind of behind it?
It does feel like this camera is behind the
Yeah, the
line.
camera's behind. But Pavlovian adding the blinkers, you know, last time out in that Cal Cup Derby, look, Doug O'Neill's done very well here to win with the Cal bred. He looked as though he was wanting to lug in through the stretch there. He wasn't doing that today. Those blinkers on, I think, I should say, made a big difference. Here's the slow-mo, JK.
Inside. It feels like outside.
Outside. I think outside one.
It feels like outside.
I mean, definitely hold on to your tickets, because that is a photo finish.
Or keep your app open.
Correct. Keep the app open. Keep refreshing. And look, Bricklin had a tough go of it from the onslaught. Number 3 unofficially posted. Pavlovian would be your upset winner of this Sunland Park Derby, as Express Kid would settle for a narrowly defeated second at even money. Bricklin on the 3 to 4 wide chase throughout.
Yeah. I mean, had no shot from that trip, and then Pavlovian just kept grinding away and literally got it in the last inch of the race. It's crazy to me that these races get get decided by inches with all that ground.
I hear ya, as Doug O'Neill wins his 4th Sunland Park Derby and Pavlovian 20 points to the Kentucky Derby. We have a show for you tomorrow on President's Day, 3:30 to 7 on FS2, as it was great to bring coverage from Sunland Park as Pavlovian gets the blanket of flowers thrown over him with Elwin Maldonado in the irons. And that'll do it here. Thanks for joining us on America's Day at the Races.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gun Runner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse on the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished 3rd.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country.
His name is Cyberknife!
Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. And if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
The Belmont Stakes Racing Festival returns for the final time to historic Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss the Belmont Festival at Saratoga. June 3rd through 7th. Secure your place in history at BelmontStakes.com.